What's up, everybody? How y'all doing, man? Hello, Simon, Martin, Shiraji, Lawrence, Martin. All right, cool. I already said Martin. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining the stream, man. Really appreciate it. Hey, JG, what's going on? Green Flame, Carl Richards. So today we got a special stream. We have Saint from Omega Guild, who has joined me once before in a live stream that we had a few weeks ago, actually. And today we're going to be talking. Hello, Emperor Yagami. And today we're going to be talking about cards and maybe the characters that you can put certain card sets on, card sets that you should prioritize. And, you know, the whole point of this, the whole point of me and Saint collabing together in these streams is so that all of you can become better players, so that we can all be more on a level playing field when we're all playing against each other in PvP, and really just to do better in the game, you know, in hopes that we can keep this game alive, you know, because PvP is really where we're all at the closest level playing field, as far as, you know, because you don't have the awaken crap and all that in there, except for the 1 week where we have the imprint stones. But still, you know, the more we all know, the more everybody knows about the game, the better they can perform in it. Hello, Vimy. What's up, man? Congratulations, JG. That's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and let Saint speak up and let y'all know what's going on, man. So, Saint, you want to talk?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, so my name's Saint. I'm Omega Guild's guild leader. For those who don't know me, I play Kofas just solely for championships and for growing the community. So I've done a video with Fogo a couple of weeks back. I think it was the 13th of September, and we covered you know, the deeper mechanics of what it takes to be top 40 in championships. So I myself, you know, I'm a top ranked player as well. Yep. So today I just wanted to do a bit of sharing and discussion together with Fogo on battle cards, because battle cards, you know, the introduction of battle cards is quite interesting, especially for PvP and championships, right? If you look at my article that I wrote about you know, what it takes to level up in championships, I think I gave battle cards roughly a percentage weight of maybe 20-30%, something like that. So if you really do want to, you know, reach an optimized state and get hit your so-called your score ceiling, you do need to optimize your battle cards. And when I say optimize, it's not just the acquisition of battle cards; it's also the you know, knowing what is the best in slot. So I'll be using the word best in slot a lot in this discussion. So best in slot means a particular card that's best for a specific character, for example. So it's an RPG term that we use to describe what's best in slot for a you know, when you equip an item in a character slot, basically an equipment slot. Sorry. Yep. So so if you guys want to you know, speak to me outside of this discussion and Fogo as well, we're located in the Omega Discord server. Oh, Fogo, are you putting up the link for the Discord server?
Yeah, I'll put it up. I'll put it up.
Yep. So yeah, so I guess we can start off the. So I think how today's session is going to go about is that we're going to be using the a tier list that I created as a basis of discussion. It's not the end all be all. So bear in mind, once the tier list gets up on screen, I'll explain the caveats and the assumptions. Yeah.
Saint, can you quickly give me the link in your send me the link?
For the Discord.
Yeah.
Yep. No worries. second. I'll send you on the voice chat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Saint's voice is a little low, guys? I can turn that up. Okay.
All right. Okay, so
Just give me a second, Saint. Just about there.
no problem.
Just wanna.
Yep. So
I put your
guys,
link
if
in
you
the chat
really
box.
want to like hit the max potential for championships, I highly recommend you invest into battle cards. I mean, it's not just for PvP, right? It's also for PvE. Battle cards are one of the few things that they have a longer shelf life in terms of being in the meta and being relevant. So even things like Noah, the Noah set that's been around for maybe, I don't know, half a year. If you invested into it half a year ago, it's still relevant for PvE content right now. And the funny thing is, if you invested into a character 6 months ago, there's a high chance that's not relevant in the content right now. So that's just the way Netmarble has decided to design, the game. So battle cards is actually something you want to spend a little bit more rubies into, just for the overall longevity of enjoyment and utilities that you get from playing the game. Yeah. Fogo, are you there?
Yeah, buddy, I'm here.
Okay, so shall we display the tier list?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. All right, guys. So this is Saint's tier list in the top right-hand corner.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the Discord link is in the comments section or in the chat itself? So I think the last time you put it on you put both of our Discord links on the
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, cool.
I just put yours in the chat a second ago.
No problem.
There you go,
Okay,
buddy.
guys. So I think you guys have seen this tier list before. It's available in our in the Netmarble forums as well as in the Omega Guild Discord. So I think I've never really spoken about the assumptions clearly on why the tier list is the way it is. So just a couple of assumptions. Number one, it's a tier list made for a 3v3 setup. So this is not a 1v1 tier list. Reason for that is because in championships you effectively win the round if you use three characters. A lot of people are arguing and messaging me and PMing me on like why should certain characters be so low on the tier list when they do much better against others above them. So it's not really about who will win in a 1v1 setup. It's what is their amount of value that they add to a 3v3 setup. So you'll realize there are quite a lot of characters that may not do as strong in a 1v1 scenario, but are higher ranked. It's because they have anti-sweeping capabilities. And for those who don't know what sweeping is it's the phenomenon in Netmarble, only in a Netmarble Kofas game, where a single character kind of wins one round and has the ability to just win all the rounds simply because of gaining advantage from the power gauge and so on and so forth. So people like Nameless is considered a sweeper. People like Gonitz, people like Psyche. Right? So there's certain characters with anti-sweeping capabilities. Things like core bomb, crowd control skills like Kula, like John Cena. So actually, if you look at it, right, John Cena is a good example of what I'm talking about. So John Cena, the reason why he's number one is not because he wins all 1v1 fights. In my opinion, Gonitz is a little bit stronger than him in a 1v1 fight. But why he's up there is because he has a lot of anti-sweeping effects in his skills and his kit. So that includes his stun when he hits 49% health, and of course, the WWE core where he's able to remove super armor by clashing with him. Yep. So yeah, and then of course the other caveats include that the players that are using these characters are essentially optimized, which means they're the best in class. Basically 10k to 11k players, or very specialized players like Snow, who is really truly the best in class for using what do you call this? Like 8 nits. And shout out to Snow, by the way. Snow just joined our guild, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. So bear in mind that's the assumptions while we are using this tier list. And by the way, Lady Geese has not been added. It's so the tier list maker is dependent on the creator of the tier list to add in the icons. So unfortunately, Lady Geese isn't out yet, so I can't really update it. So in my opinion, I need a bit more time to gauge where Lady Geese is. So Foggle has released a video that he created about Lady Geese and her gaps and her setbacks and her strengths. But in short, Lady Geese isn't meta breaking because of Foggle. You want to explain why she isn't meta breaking?
She isn't meta breaking because she has gaps. You know, her S3 is, there's moments in it like, I thought she'd be a real counter to Pretty Zero because she has the type advantage, because she has the reduce and petrify in her core effect. I mean, if you look at her core effect, she's got the 60% petrified duration decrease. She's also got the, whenever she gets petrified, she stuns the attacker for 2 seconds. But what we found out was, you know, if you're a pretty decent Pretty Zero player, you honestly can wait for Geese to do her S3 skill. And whenever she does the first kick or even the second kick, you can just petrify her. And yeah, you'll get stunned whenever she does this kick here. But once you petrify her, you're going to have super armor up for 3 seconds. She's not going to be able to grab you. Or you can just dodge the attack. It's not that difficult to
Foggle,
dodge.
the tier list is covering your screen, I think.
Oh, my bad. Forgot about that. Here. Let's put that up. There we go. There we go. Anyways, so when she does the third skill, sorry about that, guys. When she does the third skill, look, so the 2 kicks and then she does the grab. It's not an instant grab. This hurts her a lot because these are open windows for a player to dodge or hit their super armor, their hyper armor. They can interrupt her. I mean, she'll have super armor maybe from this, but again, say someone blocks and they're using a character like Mature that can remove super armor. Well, whenever, say you use your super armor first and then you use your third skill, boom, there's an opening right in there where you can easily take away that super armor, easily interrupt her skills. And by the way, this is All-Star Week where Mature would be. It's just, she's got gaps in her game. Plus her first skill isn't a very long-range skill. It doesn't go all the way across the screen. You got to be close range. The second skill is actually about 4 character distances. I mean, she's got a lot of power. That's her thing. She's really more of a PvE tune, in my opinion, compared to PvP. She can do work in PvP. It's not that she sucks in PvP. I don't think that. It's just you're gonna find that unless you're a quality player or you're facing somebody that isn't a quality player, you're not gonna do as well as you think you would do.
Yeah. So in short, Lady Geese, her weakness is that her guard break can be countered. It's very similar to Blue Jin, Kazuya, where you can actually dodge prior to the last hit, and you'll be able to avoid the guard break essentially. So because of that, she does have limited use when it comes to playing against top players. I mean, that would be one of her weaknesses. So preliminary, I would rank her around third tier or fourth tier at the moment. Probably the end of fourth tier. Sorry, the end of third tier, which is towards the right, and then the beginning of fourth tier, which is towards the left. Somewhere around there. That's where I'll put her. So I'll watch her for about a couple more days, and then I'll wait for the tier list to be updated. Yeah. So shout out to Lucas Candy. He's one of the top players in the world. He's Agora Vi, so I'm pretty sure you guys have seen him on the charts. So he's on the stream chat with us at the moment. And I noticed the clips asking why is Rugal not in a higher tier. So that's always a question that we always get when we view a tier list. But basically, in short, like I mentioned, the caveats and the assumptions. This is not a 1v1 setup; it's a 3v3 setup. So Rugal doesn't do very well in a 3v3 six draft format anymore with the new characters in play, and especially with all the new cards as well. I mean, he can get even one-shotted. It's quite crazy. And bypassing his super armor core, yes. But in a 1v1 chart tier list, I'll definitely be doing that one day soon, guys. I'll be updating the tier list and creating a 1v1 tier list. So people like Rugal, people like BB Van, they're going to be higher on this tier list. And people like Nameless will be lower on a 1v1 tier list, guys, because his utility will not be as strong to sweep. Yep.
Yeah, he's one of those characters. Once he gets gone, he builds his PG, boom, boom, boom. But you got to get him past that first fight. Whereas characters like Vanessa, Rugal, one-on-one, they do so much better than, they're not sweepers per se.
Yep. So anyway, let's dive into the card sets.
All right, buddy, let's go.
Let's go. Yep.
Guys, we're going to be talking about the set cards, okay? So, well, actually, Saint's going to be going over the set cards mainly, but we're just going to go through these, and Saint, you just let me know which one you want to talk about, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So for those who don't know the set cards, right? So there are two types of set cards. One is the there are two types of battle cards that characters can be equipping on themselves. So one is the set cards, which is they come in usually the three slots on your screen on the left in the character screen. And then you can combine three of them to create a so-called set effect or a combo effect, right? And then, of course, you have the option cards, and then you have the battle card finishers as well. So there are actually three of them. So I said two just now, so correction. So we'll go through set cards today. In terms of if we have spare time, we might talk a bit about option cards. We might talk a bit about battle cards, as in battle card finishers. So yeah. So set cards, best in slots. Unfortunately, guys, no matter how you spin it, it's usually the 6 stars. There could be extremely rare niche and considerations where a best in slot, depending on your play style, might be a gold set card instead. So, for example, if you're really, really strong at Jintoki and you're extremely offensive, so Jintoki Fest, and his bleed explosion core effect, right? He could really benefit from the Jintoki, the Gintama Go set. Foggo, do you know where to find it in this list?
Yeah, we can just we can easily just go in my presets and go there.
Yeah, so the Gintama Go set, right? Deals, I think, 75% more bleed damage.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you guys have ever seen with this set. He has a extremely high one happens, but he becomes a glass cannon. So if you're that kind of player where, I mean, these are really exceptional cases and niche situations where if you're using Jintoki and you're extremely offensive and really good at catching, then putting this on him could be a very interesting way to spice things up and one-shot people. Yeah. But for all intents and purposes, most of the things that we're going through today will be best in slot. So in the best in slot for sets is definitely the 6-star cards. So we can go back to the 6-star cards and then just introduce them one by one.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So for the 6-star cards, guys, of course, the most common, I wouldn't call it common, but the most that, okay, fine. The most common one you'll encounter, simply because it's been around the longest, is the Noah set. So Noah is the first one on the top left, where so I'll be addressing the set names by the character that's representing the sets, not by the actual set names itself. So if I'm not mistaken, Noah is called Light and Darkness. Is that correct?
Yeah, light and
Or
shadow.
Light and Shadow. Sorry, Light and Shadow. Yeah. So when I refer to Noah, it's this lady right here, and that's what I'll be doing for all these sets. So yeah, no, so Noah is quite a decent set, but however, it's kind of dropped out of the meta because effectively all it adds is extra 31% extra attack based on your percentage, and then 15% chance to gain super armor for 3 seconds. But the whole issue here is upon a successful attack, which means it's not on command, and it's also percentage driven. So that's actually one of the, for me, that's a bummer, and it's not reliable in that sense. I mean, I used to use this during the period where there wasn't any other alternative sets in terms of 6 stars. So yeah. So the reason why set cards, fast sets or 6-star sets are best in slot is because there's a phenomenon of the CP base stats being boosted. So Foggle, can you show them where the CP stats are?
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
showing it. Yep.
Yep. So the why 6-star sets perform so much better than 5 stars is because they add double uh, double the amount of HP, double amount of attack, and double amount of defense to your base stats. So if you do damage calculation and theory crafting in RPGs, right, base stats are one of the most powerful things to boost because it's multiplicative in nature and not additive in nature. Okay, so that's something really important to take note of. Um, when you add to your base stats, all other multiplier effects get affected by it. So the index increases, all other damage increases. However, if you just add a additive effect, which is not your base stats, then it only affects certain areas of your damage, and it doesn't affect all damage. All right. So even things like increased attack by 10%, that's called a multiplier effect, and it's not your base stats. Okay. Um, and I think I'll go through later when we come across the Akane set. Uh, there's a effect that says it adds 30% chance to increase the attack damage by 150%. That's actually additive and not multiplicative. Later I'll explain it when we reach the card. But you got to take note of this kind of differences and understanding of the deeper details of set cards in order to fully optimize it and know and make the right decision which cards are actually best in slots, right? And how you're able to calculate damage. Okay, so for Noah set, the one that's on screen right now, decent set, good for PvE. I don't recommend it for PvP, simply because the super armor isn't on command, and there are better sets that deal more damage than it at the moment already. So including Akane, which deals roughly maybe 5 to 10% more damage. And yes, I'm taking into consideration the 30% chance to proc the 150% extra attack damage, which I'll explain later. It will be additive, not multiplicative. Yep. So let's go on to the next set.
Sure.
Yep. So guys, I'll be going through each set first because I realize that there are different audiences here. There are some that has never seen or they want to understand more about sets, and then there are also going to be audiences who want to know how to use the sets in terms of the tiering. Okay, of course, then we have Kaya, who's the lady on screen, and it's called Shadow and the Truth set. So this one's more defense oriented. So the good thing about this set, right? Okay, so guys, just take note that this Kaya on screen right now, it isn't ranked up to level 30. So the base stats may appear less, but actually it's usually the same as other 6-star sets. Yeah. So okay, fine. So it's level 30 now. Okay. So this set is extremely useful for people with a higher defense rating because it's actually gonna add 45% more attack based on your defense rating, based on your default defense rating, the base stats like I talked about. So this is extremely useful when certain characters have certain core effects, and that adds plus X amount of defense to their base stats. I don't know whether you guys noticed on that. So people like Lolly Chang, they have it. I don't think K has it. So you got to look at their core skills, right? And their core, if they say plus 100 and plus 1,000 or plus 2,000 to extra defense or plus 1,008, that's an actually extremely powerful core because it adds to your base stats. So when you're gauging a person's a new character's core stats, right? Those additive effects to the base stats is actually a multiplicative effect because it's adding to your index base stats. Okay, so that really so Kaya set really shines on defensive character that has higher base stats for defense in general. Okay, so so the second effect on obtaining 10% attack for 30 seconds and gaining super armor when tagging in, that's only effective in League and
Mhm.
other modes that have tagging in features.
Mhm.
So we're not going to talk about the second ability. It's basically
It's
not.
basically a PvE thing.
Yeah, correct. It doesn't exist in championships. So yeah, let's go on to the next one. Oh, don't forget that Kaya adds 21% defense increase, but that's additive. So that
Yeah.
doesn't increase your base stats. Okay, so let's talk about In, which is the white elephant in the room, guys. The In set, the lady in the hoodie. Level 30 version. Yep. Okay. So the truth between 0 and 1. So this lady, unfortunately, was released in global. And Netmarble really has an issue with this. They are releasing new cards and characters that are way behind its time, simply because they've been released in Japan earlier. And when it was released in Japan, it was a lot more relevant. But they delayed it a lot in global to the point of time when they do actually release it, it's kind of useless by the time. So it's quite crazy. But things like Leona or Belona Fest, like some of you guys like to call her Belona, and things like the inset, these so-called new cards and characters were released too late, and by the time they were out of meta. So anyway, for inset, right? Um, the the biggest thing holding back this set is actually the fact that 2 out of 3 of them doesn't add 7% attack. So if you look at this one, this is inset number 3. It increases HP by 7%. And Foggo, could you click on inset number 1? If I'm not mistaken, it increases your
Attack.
defense by 7%.
One's attack and number 2 is defense.
All right. Right, sorry, my bad. So number 2 is increasing defense by 7%, and then number 3 is increasing HP by 7%. So the biggest downfall to this is actually set number 2 and set number 3. Simply because the loss of 14% extra attack is really a big boo boo lah. Yeah, or a big
Yeah,
gap
it
in my.
sucks.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have the issue with the 15% chance to gain super armor for 1 second and decrease damage by 20% for 3 seconds. So this one is a bit RNG, a bit too dependent on. I don't like to depend on RNG. You want certainty, right? When you don't go into an engagement or when you clash. So you don't want to be playing based on gambling, because the game is very punishing when you don't get things your way. So that's another thing that's stopping this set from being relevant or even being used in championships. But of course, okay, guys, I mean, if you don't have any other sets, then this is good, right? Okay, so now today I want to talk about penetration, okay? What is penetration? The p-value of the inset increases, by 800 when you equip it as a set. So penetration, what it effectively does, based on my understanding, I could be wrong because Netmarble isn't very transparent about this kind of things. It's based on what I get it the forums and their descriptions in the in-game descriptions. But the p-value of a character, or the penetration value of a character, if it's X amount, what it does is when this character hits an enemy, you gotta minus this X amount from the enemy's defense base stats. Okay, so if so, let's say I have a character that has 200 penetration, and I'm wearing an inset, so I have 1,000 penetration, right? So if I hit a character that has 2,000 defense, what I'm effectively doing is I'm hitting the character with 1,000 defense, which means because I have a P rating of 1,000 due to the inset of 200 plus 800, when I hit the enemy, it's going to minus 1,000 penetration. Oh, sorry, 1,000 defense on the character itself. Okay, so penetration is actually quite a powerful what do you call this? Stat. I would argue it actually, if you have a penetration stat more so than the attack stat, or you balance it out, it's gonna do more damage. Simply because it's a separate multiplier effect from the attack modifier, which is just plus attack percent. So actually, if you look at the inset, Foggo, could you go back to the inset?
Yeah. Oops.
So if you look at the inset, right, guys, on certain characters, I would argue it actually deals more damage. The only thing that's stopping inset from being used is that it's what do you call this? It's proc for its super armor and damage reduction. It's too short. 1 second is really too short, and as well, it's not on command, which means it's RNG, right? Okay, so this is very counterintuitive. I know you guys are probably going to have some questions, but what happens is you don't want to put a higher penetration rating on a attack-based character. You actually want to put it on more defensive characters and more balanced characters. And the reason for that, right, is because attack-based characters tend to have a higher penetration rating or p-value. And if you do RPG damage crafting, the idea is you don't want to be so strong in one attack modifier. You want to be pretty much balanced and evened out for all attack modifiers because it stacks upon itself. So if you guys understand how multiplier effects work, right? The diminishing returns, if you stack more on one multiplier effect, damage multiplier effect, it's not going to gain you much more damage as compared to stacking it on others. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let's say I have I have a plus 100% attack percentage. If I add another 10%, I'm going to get 10% more multiplier effect, which means I increase my damage by effectively 10%. But if I have a penetration rating on this guy that has only you know um, 1,000, okay, and you're adding inset, it increases by 800, so that's 1,008, right? So if you're fighting against an opponent which has say 2,000 defense, so the trade-off is you're fighting against, without the inset, you're fighting against a character effectively with 1,000 defense versus 200 defense with the inset. Now, if you ask me which one deals more damage, it's actually the inset that deals more damage in this case as compared to the increasing the attack modifier by 10%. Because the marginal gain, if your attack modifier it's already at 100% and you're adding 10% more only, you're just getting 10% more damage. But due to the penetration scenario right now, where your opponent has 2,000 defense, and with the inset you're gonna reduce it to 200. Without the inset is 1,000. I rather take the inset in terms of damage output. It definitely deals more damage in that case. Okay, so a lot of this requires you to do testing and theory crafting. But in short, these are all part of considerations why a set is in meta and what's not being used, so on and so forth. Okay, so inset pretty useful on a character which has lower penetration rating because it increases the attack modifier by a bigger percentage as compared to say attack. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next.
All right, buddy. Ah,
Hmm.
here we go.
Okay, so Ryogo, guys. In my opinion, this is undisputed the best and most used PvP set in championships. Um, it doesn't deal the most damage, but it certainly gives the most defense. And some may argue Kaya gives more defense. I actually beg to differ. And the reason for that, I'll explain later. But in short, the biggest thing about this card, and the reason why it's so powerful, it's because of the game breaking and the game winning and the money shot move and ability called guard break. So I know it's 10% chance to ignore a person's guard when using a Ryogo set. But this 10% chance is so deadly on people like Nameless, people like Lady Big. I'm sure you guys have gone through a terrible guard break that you just lose the game because of pre-zero as well. So one of the things I really, really hate is pre-zero using her S3 and it guard breaks with a Ryugo set. That from anywhere on the screen, right? That to me is a game-breaking move. It's basically the most powerful blaster move in the game. That has CC as well. The only other blaster move that has a CC effect is probably Rugal, but that's slow as a snail, both in startup animation as well as in projectile speed. But pre-zero, instant, near instant, and 2 seconds worth of petrify, which happens to be the toughest CC to deal with. Yeah. So imagine if you Ryogo break off S3, it's kind of game over. So I mean, you guys are playing an All-Star week, right? I'm pretty sure you know that pre-zero is basically the most cancer this week. So remember to ban her all the time, guys. She's just unbearable. I mean, so many of us are frustrated over a random player with much lower skill getting a random guard break on us and then just sweeping us. So in short, I just ban pre-zero all the time right now. She's like the Gonits of the no restriction week. So you should just so P0, just ban her. Don't even bother. Like even against good players, right? When good players are playing her, it's just so random, right? The guard breaking is so random. I'll give you the calculation. How the guard break calculation works with her S1. So her S1 has the ability to break a guard at 30%. So if you use Ryogo with her, it effectively increases to 37%. Why this number is an addition of 7% is because of the complement rule of probability. So I don't want to get into technical details, but if you have a 30% chance to guard break and a 10% chance to guard break 2 tries, what is the effective probability of you guard breaking at least once? It's 37%. Now, if you Google what the complement rule of probability is, you understand how I calculated this. So in other words, pretty zero, if she uses an S1 and you're blocking, she has a 37% chance to break you. Okay? And in some cases, sweep you. Actually, in most cases, sweep you, sorry. Sorry. The only consolation is her S1 won't be reset if you guard break. So that's not too bad. Is that correct, Fogel? I think that's my understanding.
I think so. I'm not really 100% sure how it works, to be honest. I never knew if it like added on the 10% or like her 30 would turn into 40, or I wasn't
Oh no,
ever
I
really.
was talking about the if you're blocking and you
Oh
get
yeah.
hit by your S1 and it guard breaks you, I don't think the pre-zero reset happens for S1. That's my understanding.
No, she's got to have a successful attack.
Yeah.
If
correct.
her S1 gets if it isn't a successful attack, she doesn't get a reset.
It guard breaks, right? Okay, so right. Yeah. So the effective percentage is 37%, guys. This is an important number to take note of. So the probability of, if you're using Ryogo on pre-zero, the probability you at least of breaking guard at least once with S1, assuming you have a 30% chance and a 10% chance, the effective probability is 37%. Okay? So let's go back to Ryogo set. Okay.
We're on it.
So I know you guys think that Ryogo adds just 20% HP. So if you look at decreasing the target's attack by 20% for 10 seconds, what it effectively means is it's not just 20% HP. It's a situation where if you look at the time, it lasts for 10 seconds and it resets every 15 seconds, right? What it means, it's probably having an uptime of roughly 66%, meaning it's in effect for 66% of the time. So if you extrapolate that, means your opponent's target is always reduced by 20% times 66%, which is 14%. At any given point in time, the average situation is that your opponent has roughly 14% less attack and you have 20% more HP. So if you do the math, this roughly equates to having 40% more effective health in general when you're using a Ryogo. Because if your opponent has 14% less attack and you have 20% more health, once again, multiplier effect, your effective health should be roughly 40% compared to your index, which is not having a Ryogo in the first place. Okay, few people realize this. Ryogo kind of adds, I would say adds, 35 to 45 of, okay, maybe more accurate, maybe 37 to 42% of more effective health. That's what it does. Okay. So the reason why this guy is so strong is because this extra health is really useful to survive one string. So there are a lot of characters that can actually one string you or one shot you if they juggle you correctly or in a combo. So the idea of using Ryogo is to prevent that. So you get another, chance. And of course, the guard break being a game breaking move. And yeah. So all in all, really powerful set. Not to mention that it adds 21% to increase attack as well. Pretty powerful. Also very useful for PvE. Because against certain bosses, right? I mean the new relay bosses are hitting pretty hard. So the Ryogo set kind of alleviates the pain as well. Yeah.
It's
And
the
it's
best
for
set for
your entire
PvP.
team. So take note of that, guys. You may increase your health by 20%, but if you have one Ryogo set on one of your 3 characters in PvE against a relay boss, the boss effectively gets minus 14%, attack damage at any given point of time, based on the 20% times 66% for the uptime. So all your characters effectively gain more health because the opponent, the relay boss does less damage. Yeah. So it doesn't just benefit the current what do you call it? Person who's equipping Ryogo, it benefits the entire team as well because the boss deals less damage. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I was able to get my Kuma to survive during Victor a few weeks back. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next set, pretty interesting, very niche set. I kind of like it. I would just wish that, if they increase the critical rate by 7%, I think I'll be using this set a lot more often. So the Shine set, in my opinion, is extremely useful and utility-wise. In terms of damage, not so much. So the kind of set this is useful for is those who proc certain effects with their crit on crit, and as well as their at least a balanced character. Some may put it on attack characters to make them have higher survivability because of these, the super armor, the defensive super armor on proc. But I think it's better to put it on a balanced character simply because I think the 3 sets, one of them is at 7% more attack, The other one's 7% more defense. And then when you have the full set, it adds 7% more to both of that. So altogether, it's 14% attack, 14% defense. And then, of course, one of the set effects is 3.5% more crit. Netmarble should have increased this to 7% increase crit. No doubt about it. To make this a little bit more competitive. The reason why you don't see the shine set so often is because the damage output is a lot less compared to, say, Akane, for example. Okay, and let's keep it simple. Okay, some people don't realize this, but if you see the second effect of the set bonus, right, 70% additional damage upon landing a critical hit. Now I'm gonna really address this white elephant in the room here. This 70% additional damage, it's not multiplicative. It is additional. This is extremely important because a lot of people think, oh, does that mean if I do 10,000 damage, but because I crit, I'll do 17,000 damage? That's not true. So how does 17% additional damage works, right, guys? Foggo, can you just pull out any character and then the skill screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something that very few people realize. I'm going to address it right now. So top players realize this. That's why they don't use it. So if you go to the skill effects, how damage is being calculated for skills, right, guys? Can I go to the skill page, Foggo?
Yeah.
So guys, can you see? Let's look at Ignit's S1, right? Chain blade transsexual slice. Is it transsexual?
Transsexual. Yeah.
Jeez, I didn't know that was the name of the skill. Man, not only does he look like a trap, his skills are trap based. Or trap name. Okay, never mind. Sorry. So guys, so chain blade transsexual slice, right? It says inflict 85% of attack to an enemy. What this means is that if what's his name? If Ignitz is wearing the what's the word?
Shine
Is
set.
wearing the shine set, okay, and using S1, it adds 70% more damage to this attack modifier. It doesn't mean it increases your attack by 70%. Okay, so if it's 685% of your attack, adding 70% to that would effectively be 755%, which is roughly, if you do the division, right, 70% out of 685 is roughly 10%. Okay, what it means is when you crit and you have shine set and you use S1 on Ignites, you're dealing 10% more damage only, not 70% more damage. Okay, so this will be could be a blowing moment for a few of you guys, but that's how it's being calculated. So same thing. Mukai has a leadership skill that adds 50% more damage to your attack skills, right? It's the same calculation. So if you look at TA players, they do a lot of the damage calculations, and the top TA players, right, they rarely use, when there's Mukai and Zero in play, they always use Zero as a leader instead of Mukai. And you might go, hey, that doesn't make sense, right? My active damage is increased by 50%. Shouldn't it be more damage if I use Mukai compared to Zero as a leader? But no, it's because the TA people understand the damage differences. So this increased damage of the active skill by 50% is additive, not multiplicative, like the increased 50% or 40% of attack for the leadership skill of Zero. Okay. So now that I've addressed this issue, you really want to take note that there are certain option cards and certain skills and basically battle cards that add. Sorry, could you go back to the shine set? Follow, sorry. So there are certain card effects that increases your attack damage or your active skill damage by a percent, right? It's actually not a percent. It's additive based off the way the damage is being calculated as I just explained. So this 70% additional damage upon landing critical hit is really not much more damage. I would say it's maybe adding just 10% more on, because most skills they are ranging from 500 to 700 normally, or 800, or if I want to put it, yeah, it's roughly 10% more damage on the extra crit. That's all it is. Okay, so the only reason why this set, the Shine set, the odds of being fun, aka, is relevant in today's meta is because of its last effect, which is 30% to gain super armor for 2 seconds when receiving a critical hit. This frees up a slot is effectively from the option cards. People used to use Tekken and the My set. Actually, people still use it, but it frees up the option to have more cooldown or other cards. But the biggest thing about this is that its cooldown is 15 seconds actually, so it's extremely powerful. In my opinion, this is the only reason why the card is can still be used. Every other thing is gimmicky, so the additional 70% damage, in my opinion, is very gimmicky. The 3.5% increased critical is also very gimmicky. It should be 7%, honestly. So yeah, this is pretty good on certain characters that don't want to be one-shotted. So I'll name a few examples, but later when we go through a tier list, I'll actually share who's the best in slot for Shine. Yeah, but it's useful on characters that have who are a bit paperish, and they also proc effects on crit. Gonitz is quite okay, but you're giving up Ryogo and much more effective health, so I don't know about that. Some people might argue on that. But yeah, okay, it's quite useful on Ryogo. Gonitz. Okay. But best in slot, no questions about it. This Shine set will be best on Kamui. Okay, so Kamui proc effects on crit. Okay, and not only that, that what do you call that? When the clashing, when you clash with Kamui, it's going to help him with his SA as well, especially during his S1 and S3, which kind of makes him quite vulnerable as well. Okay, so this set, and then he's balanced, which means he gains both the attack and defense. Because he's balanced, and the attack and defense modifier adds to both attack and defense in an equal percentage of 14%. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Our girl.
Yeah. So Akane, right, is the next one. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Foggle describes this card as a very fine card. Is that correct, Foggle?
That's correct. That is correct. This being the finest one. This being the finest one, but yes.
That's right. So Akane set is the most recent set. I will tell you, it's the most damaging set among all fast sets or 6-star card set cards. No doubt about it, hands down. Now the only issue I have with this set, okay, let's talk about issues first. Let's praise it first. Okay, so compared to Noah, right? Noah used to be the most damaging set. Now why this took over is because Noah deals 31% increased attack damage based on your stats, but Akane does 33%. So I don't know where you guys noticed that. It's just that 2% more, does do more damage. And then on top of that, you have a 30% chance to deal, the second set effect is 30% chance to deal more damage equal to 15% of attack upon landing an active skill. So remember how we addressed the issue of how it's being calculated for skill damage? You don't effectively deal 1.5 times more damage at 30% of chance. So if you look at Shine set, 70% roughly equates to 10% more damage. So at 150 would roughly equate to 20% more damage. So you have a 30% chance to do 20% more effective damage on your active skill. That's what it is. It's not 150. So I really, 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 really wish Netmarble would. I mean, I don't know whether Netmarble has experience in doing RPGs, but they really should rename the way they describe their damage. It's very confusing. Yeah. So guys, effectively, what it means for the second card effect is that it has a 30% chance to deal damage, to deal 20% more damage on each attack. That's it. That's all you need to know. Okay. And then of course the third skill, third effect, which is the one that we all love because it always surprises your enemies, is that you become immune to damage for 2 seconds if HP is 1 or less. It's kind of like the Brianna core effect, except it's reduced by percent. It's like Brianna has it for 6 seconds, so this one's like 2 seconds, right? So I gotta admit, this one it's quite strong. It's quite useful for certain characters that can carry below life certain life percent effects. So best in slot, for example, Cena, no doubt about it. This is best in slot for Cena because I mean I would argue it's the best in slot. Personally, I wouldn't really use it on a Cena, but I still prefer Kaya set. But if I look at it, it's actually best in slot for Cena, no doubt about it. So the reason for that, right, is because Cena procs 2 types of things when he's below a certain life, right? So and especially when you start a new round. So the whole idea of Akane, right, is you want to put it on characters that get an advantage in the new round, that their core effects gets reset due to their life being below a certain amount. So definitely Cena, because if you hit him below, let's say he starts a new round with 1%, if you hit him, he's gonna get that 1% stun. Sorry, he's gonna get that 100% stun on the enemies for 1.5 seconds, and he has and the fact that he can remove armor for the next round as well. Okay, and it also helps the fact that he has the counter attack skill with HA, which means if you hit him and he has 1% health left, and he's in the middle of a combo, you give another 2 seconds of refresh time for the counter attack to come out, right? And then he has effectively another 3 seconds of immunity. So, in my opinion, this is really the strongest set for Cena. But once again, I'm still testing it. I'm in the midst of testing it between Kaya and Akane. But on paper, Akane is the best at the moment for Cena. Okay. Now, on the flip side, why is the Akane set, why am I questioning is Kaya better, right? Or another defensive card set better? Is because you are effectively trading off a lot of health when you're using a Akane set. So let's compare it to Ryogo, right? Ryogo gives you roughly 40% more health. So it's kind of gimmicky, right? So if you trade off 40% health, but sure, you get 2 seconds more of immunity. I mean, in 2%, most people don't deal 40% damage. So you are still losing effective health. And what I argue is that if you had Ryogo in the first place, or say Kaya set, which roughly adds 30% more effective health, actually no, Kaya set adds on 21% more effective health. Yeah. Because of the +7, +7, correct. So Ryogo adds more. So what happens is I find it gimmicky that if you trade off 40% health for that 2% of immunity, I don't think there are very rare scenarios where a person will do more than 40% damage in that 2 seconds of immunity. So not only that, right? So if you use Ryogo instead of Akane, it could be a situation where you don't even reach your 1% situation because you had more life to begin with. So those are considerations when using Akane set. I would use Akane set because of the only reason why I use it is because of the increase, because of the core effect synergies with the fact that you can bring it over to the next round. Okay, so I'll give you another example which is really very strong. Shion is extremely strong with this set. Reason for that is if she carries this to the next round at 1% of health, 2 things: she can gain back health. She has a 10%. She can gain back 10% health, so there's a chance to actually last longer. And not only that, right? She doesn't have a super armor. Sorry, she doesn't have a hyper armor skill. And her super armor skill, how it works is, it removes her core creates a chance to remove hyper armor or super armor of the opponent at 75% chance. Is it 75% chance? Or is it 80 or 70?
70.
70, is it? I thought
Yeah.
it was 75. My bad.
Mhm.
So in other words, she has a very strong ability to sweep. If she wins the first round, or and then Akane set is in effect at 1%. Her comeback ability is extremely strong because her combos are really well strung, and as well as ability to remove, you know, armor skills, which is a clash friendly, what do you call that, move. Okay, and Akane set really helps her when she's going to the next round. So this is another best in slot. In my opinion, Shion's best in slot is Akane. But if you're more, that's for an offensive Shion. If you are a defensive player, then best in slot would be probably Ryogo. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's move on. Are we done with the fest?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just do quick comments on the non-fest sets. I don't think I want to go through too much detail, but just take note. If you want to be competitive in PvP championships, unfortunately, there's just no way to run around the fact that you need them. Yeah, if you don't have them, you're severely disadvantaged. Maybe by 30-40%, I would argue. Yeah. So decent goal set. So I think I'll just go through the goal sets, right? And then I'll just talk about some of them which are possibly relevant in PvP. So like I mentioned earlier, the Jintoki set, right? So the Gintama set. Okay, so that is an exception. Do you have the Gintama set here?
Yeah.
I think Foggo, you can just go back to the codex since we already covered all the fairs. Yeah. So guys, don't worry. I'll cover best in slots for the tier list later. Right now, I just wanted to go through different sets because not everyone understands the mechanics of each set. I hope this session has really opened your eyes on how the effective damage is calculated, because a lot of people don't realize how it's calculated, and a lot of people are making bad decisions. For example, the increased attack damage, active damage by X amount of percent, it's additive and not multiplicative. Okay, so there are certain goal sets that are useful. Like I mentioned, this Gintama set. For an offensive Gintoki player who's able to catch, and he likes to do a glass cannon style, this set is extremely powerful because the explosion has a multiplicative effect of having additional 75%. I mean, if you're bleeding more by 75%, right? I think he has two skills that increase bleed, that gives a bleed dot damage. And then if just so happens the explosion happens when both dots are active, I'm pretty sure you lose. If you're a attack player, you die instantly. But yeah, if you're a defensive player, you maybe lose 70-80% health or more or less, roughly around there. So this set is extremely powerful on Jintoki Fest, but you have to be playing the glass cannon style, and one mistake you die, but if you get through, you win, right? Okay, so this is one of the relevant sets. I don't suggest you put this on Gonits. Not so useful on Gonits, simply because there's been a lot of testing done. Akane will do more damage than this. Yeah, so no point. Because you trade off whenever you use gold cards, right? One of the biggest trade-offs is definitely the base stats. So your HP is and attack and defense, you don't gain as much compared to 6-star cards. All right. Now let's look at other gold cards that are relevant. Of course, let's talk about Tekken.
Let's see. Tekken. Ah, there we are. Yeah.
Okay, so Tekken Set. Okay, guys. Tekken Set used to be best in slot for Nameless before Awakening came out. Because what it meant is if there was a Nameless with Tekken, he'd be able to sweep the team the moment he gets 3PG. Because in the past there was no way to escape his 3PG, right? Or really, really rare, or really difficult to escape his 3PG. But compared to today, we have Awakening, so it's a lot easier to escape. So this used to be best in slot for Nameless. Okay, so Taken is pretty decent. It has an increased attack by 18% because it's 6 on each of the cards. Critical rate by 10%, and then critical damage by 50%. So I want to address how you calculate effective damage for critical rate and critical damage. If your critical rate is increased by 10% and your crit damage is by 50, what you should do is your critical rate times your critical damage multiplier stats, right? Is how much more effective damage you do on average. That's how you do it. So if a character has, I don't know, okay, so let's say a character has 10% critical rate, and then his critical damage is 25%, which it says 125%, right? Uh, so um, so if your character says 125%, uh, my understanding is that you do 25% more damage, not 125% more damage. You guys can correct me on this, but I've seen a lot of numbers. Uh, if the damage was actually increased by 125%, right, you'd see a lot more one-shot situations, but you don't. And especially on crit on ultimate damage or finishes. A lot of people argue with this with me, but I'm still convinced if your crit damage is 125%, you don't get 100 times 1.25. Sorry, you times it by 1.25. You don't add 2.25. Do you know what I mean?
Uh, can I
Which means you
interject
don't
here
do
a little
double
bit?
the damage. Yeah.
The way that I understand it is critical rate is the chance of doing a critical hit, which is your regular damage multiplied by your critical
Correct.
damage.
Correct.
So if you do 1,000 damage and you have 50% critical damage, that's 500 more damage. So 1,500 in total for one
Yeah.
critical hit.
So I beg to differ on that.
I
That's
mean,
my point.
I'm just, that's the way that I understand it.
Yeah. So once again, I think it's the way Netmarble does the descriptions. They're really not RPG creators, in my opinion. But based on testing, right? It's very simple to test this actually. If the critical damage is really a multiplied effect and not an additive effect, what will happen is uh you guys can go test it. Increase your critical damage by put a Taken set on a character and increase the critical damage to maybe near 200. Okay, say maybe on a Yori. Okay, and if you use your crit, and if it crits on a finisher, by right you should one shot the guy because you're dealing, times 3 the damage. Because if you follow what Foggle just said, it should do times 3 the damage, which effectively means 100% damage. But that never happens. So how I tested this was I used finishers and I observed for critical damage numbers to appear, like the critical damage numbers to appear. The ratio is never more than one, more than one, 100%. And because of that, my conclusion is that it is additive based and not multiplicative based. So once again, I'll go back to the numbers. So if you have a crit rate of 10% and your critical damage is 125, um, and you crit, you are dealing additional 25% more damage only, not an additional 125%. Because like I said, if this was true, then the crit modifiers would be extremely imbalanced already. You would see so many one-shot scenarios. Yep, so on and so forth. And it just doesn't happen. Simply because it's not the way it's being calculated. And I've recorded numbers as well. So you guys, once again, can go and check it out. I know a lot of you will not believe it until you actually go and do the numbers. But I think it's additive rather than multiplicative, which means
Oh,
um, you don't times it by basically if you have 125% crit damage, when you crit you get 25% more damage only. That's it.
hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So um yeah.
In the comments, it says Snow tested this a year ago, and it was additional, not multiplied.
Yeah, there we go. So I guess I'm right as well.
Yeah,
So it's
that's exactly what
additive.
they're saying too.
Yeah, because if it's multiplicative, right, guys, it's very clear when things are multiplied by 2 or 3 or 4 times, right? So in this case, someone can go 200%, which means you get 3 times more damage. Uh, if that is a real thing in game, you would see one shots everywhere, but it's not. You
Hmm.
never see it. Yeah, so it's very clear it's additive and not multiplicative. So what this does, if you look at the crit rate of 10% and then crit damage by 50, right?
Hmm.
If you have a, a crit rate already at 10 and your critical damage is at 125, what happens is that you get 20% crit rate and then
Hmm.
175% crit damage.
Hmm.
So you get 20% of the crit rate times the 75%. So remember, minus off 100, right? Because it's additive. So your effective damage has increased uh, by, if it's 20% crit at 75% crit damage, crit rate CR versus CD, 20 CR, 75 CD, means you're dealing additional 15% damage on a crit on
Hmm.
average. Sorry. You're not dealing 15% more damage on a crit. You are dealing 15% damage at any given point of time on average. Because you crit 20% on average, so you got to times that expectation by the 75% when you do crit. So you're dealing 15% more damage with that new stat. Okay. So on paper, if you had 0 critical rating and 0 critical damage, which is 100, um, this set gives you 5% more damage for the crit rate increase and the crit damage increase because it's 10% crit rate times 50% crit damage. Okay. So all in all, it's not that strong. It's pretty good on characters that proc crit a lot. So for example, this is quite powerful on a Orochi Yori. That's very glass cannon style as well. Because he literally dies in one combo. But you know, once he gets 3 PG, he can sweep. Um, uh, and he gains PG really fast because he gains, I think 3% PG every time he crits, something like that. Okay, so similar to Nameless's core, but faster. Okay, this used to be the best in slot for Nameless, like I said, but because of Awakening, it's no longer useful. Um, Okay, so the one that's really powerful here is the 3% power upon landing a critical hit. Wonderful for PvE, wonderful for PvP as well. But like I said, this card has kind of lost its meta due to the fact that there is a lot more powerful cards in terms of damage coming out, and the reliance on, like, the reason why you gained power in the past was because there was no awakening skill. Once you hit your 3 PG, it's kind of like game over for your opponents, right? So yeah. However, I argue that this might be best in slot for certain characters still who are still very tanky, but still very powerful with their 3 PG if you reach that fast. So possibly like Psyche,
Yeah, I
right?
use it on them.
Yeah. So one might argue Kaya is better. It once again depends on your playstyle. But in my opinion, Kaya is still better in terms of the average kind of players that you meet. But certain playstyles will work better on certain players, right? Uh, if you're a very good catcher, once again, of Psyche, because you're sacrificing a lot more defense, you're probably sacrificing 40% more effective health or even 50 if you use Kaya versus, what do you call it? Taken. Because you must remember that Taken is a gold set. So it doesn't add base stats to your, character as well. And a lot of people don't realize this. Why base stats is so important in championships is because people's levels are scaled back to 90. There's no codex, there's no capsules. This is where everything counts for base stats. So if you look at the average attack character at 90 with no capsules, no codex buff, their defense is roughly 1,000 only. I know it scares. It really scares you guys, but you go and check it, right? Minus off your base stats for your attack characters, minus off your not minus off. Attack characters at level 90, when you minus off their capsules, minus off their codex buff, their defense are roughly about 1,000 only. Some are below 1,000. So BB Ven is under 1,000, right? So what happens, right, guys, is if your base stats, if you add additional, if you use 3 gold cards, if you use, because there are how many slots for cards? There's 7 slots now, right? If let's say all your cards are 5-star cards, you roughly add 450 times 7. So you have 2 option slots, 2 finisher slots, and 3 set card slots. So that's 7. So your defense would be, if you use only gold cards or 5-star cards, it'll be 450 times 7, which is roughly, I don't know, 3,150, right? So your attack your attack character with a base defense of 1,000 would increase to roughly 4,000. Okay. Now compare this if all your card slots are 6-star. You would get 6,300 defense instead, which is 1,000. 1,000 base plus 6,000 is 7,000. So you're talking about a comparison of 7,000 defense versus 4,000 versus, when it's 4-star or 6-star. So effectively 7,000 versus 4,000 is almost twice the amount of effective HP. Guys, this is why base stats matter so much. When you reduce your base stats, because it's a multiplicative effect, in this case, a 6-star attack character with all slots 6-star versus a 5-star attack character, you have twice the amount of life, twice the amount of effective HP. Okay, it's scary, but these are the numbers. Okay, so that's another trade-off with Tekken, which I don't like as well, or any other goal set. You just lose. Okay, let's assume that your option cards and your finisher cards are 6 stars. Okay, if you just compare 3 cards, then let's use the example of attack again. So attack character 1,000 base defense. You'd be sacrificing 450 defense times 3, right? So with what will happen is if all your other slots are 6 stars, that would be, I don't know, 900 times 5, 4,005 plus. You're giving up roughly still 20%, 15% of your effective health if you use 3. Actually 20 plus of 20%. Wait, let me do the math. 1,000 plus 900, right? 4 slots of 6 stars, which roughly gives you 900 defense for each, so 3,006. So you get 4,006. Add another 1,350 would be 6,000. 6,000 versus 7,100. Okay, got it. So the effective trade-off is roughly 1,000 plus defense compared to all 6 slots. Sorry, all 7 slots being 6 stars. It's roughly a 15 to 20% decrease in effective health. Okay, so in summary, if you use all 6 slots except for your set cards to be 5, you're losing roughly 15 to 20% more health. Okay, I'm not going to calculate the damage because the attack modifier has a larger number and larger base. You don't lose as much, but you lose more on health. Okay? So in short, gold border set cards versus 6-star set cards, you are losing already 20% more health just on base stats alone. Okay. Let's go now to. I think I'll cover just one more gold card set. Let me see.
You got the Nest set here that's free, and then this set here, which is a good set for certain characters. The girls who sing love.
Oh yeah, Nest set. So Nest set. Let's cover Nest set.
Okay.
The Ignite set.
Yep.
Not this one. Yep. So this set, right, guys, pretty decent actually. So if you don't have Noah, this is a good substitute. So of course the substitute sets, right? The Mr. Big set, the Nest set, these are all decent substitutes. Because they're free and you just need to grind to get them, right? So for Kaya, substitute is the big set. I wouldn't pull for all the like the Kulua vacation. I wouldn't pull for that. So I just work like I'll pull for the main 6 stars, and then I'll grind for the Mr. Big set and the Nest set, which is the Infernal Dungeons. You guys can get these card sets from the Infernal Dungeons if you grind. The Infernal version of Mecha Gonitz and Infernal Chizuru, I think.
That's from Chizuru. You get Mr. Big from Genitz, and you get the Nest set from Chizuru.
Correct. So this is a decent substitute, guys. So 7% times 3 plus 12 is 31. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, no, 33. No, 33 is quite decent.
Yeah.
And then you have the additional effect of reducing damage received from enemy when they hit you with their armor skill. Pretty decent as well. So I'm not gonna lie. This is a decent card set to use if you don't have Ryogo, or if you don't have like I would use this instead of Noah. Would you believe it, guys? Because most of the time you lose the most life when you clash with an armor skill, or when you get juggled by an armor skill because it's getting initiated. So even if I had Noah set, which I did back then, I still use the Nest set. Okay, so I know it's crazy, but in my own rankings for the card sets, the Nest set is much stronger than the Noah set, in my opinion. Just on the basis that most of the clashes that you do in a PvP fight will involve the armor skill, and reducing damage by 50%. It's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. It's very obvious when it happens.
I think next time I play Xion, I'm gonna slap this set on him just for curiosity.
You don't have to though. I don't. It's
counterintuitive. I know.
Because you remove armors from your opponent anyways.
That's true.
Yeah, so I don't think you should do that. Xion is paper as it is, really. When you put a gold set on her, she's going to be even more paper. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Mr. Big set.
Okay, here we are.
Yeah, I see a comment by It's Arvin about Tekken set still being good. I think with the new cut slot, 2 finisher slots, right? You have more versatility to use Tekken because the loss in the stats can be gained through your other cut slots. So it's really good that they are making option cards and finisher cards with more 6-star and also increasing the cut slots. It kind of gives you more versatility to play around with your set cards. Like I said, so if you do the effective calculation, right, previously using a gold card, you really lose a lot more stats. Effective health, sorry. Because you had less card slots and less option cards that you could use that was 6 stars with higher base stats. So so I would explore using Tekken, right? Like say during different weeks, during AS weeks with say the Summer Chizuru where she has a full screen 3PG, you know, or traditional what's the thing called? Traditional gold weeks. Once again with Chizuru. You know, I would explore that simply because now there's so many slots to increase your health, so you're not as paper as before. The reason why in the past Tekken was not as popular is because of that as well. It's just the less availability of 6-star options and less availability and slots of 6-star finishes. Okay, so now let's talk about Mr. Big. So Mr. Big, right? That was for Tekken set, guys. The one I just described. So now for Mr. Big, it's the substitute for Kaya. Once again, it's free. So the only difference is you get 3% less damage. 3% less defense to your attack rating, and as well as the base stats. But surprisingly, you get 21% defense still, based off each card, 7 times 3. Now, the reason why I say don't pull for Kulua Vacation, because Kulua Vacation gives you 5% only for each card, which is 15. It's a huge difference. And on top of that, they only give you 40% increased attack based on your defense. So never ever pull for Kula Vacation. It totally went out of the meta. It's totally useless. The Kula Celebration as well. Don't ever pull that. Just go for the Nest set. Go for the Mr. Big sets. Okay? So these are good substitute sets for, in this case, Mr. Big is good for Kaya. Substitute. The only advantage it has, which Kaya doesn't have, is the recover HP by 3% and then gain 3% power upon defeating an enemy. Pretty decent. Useful for, I don't know, the rare scenario where you are just short of, you're at 57% PG, and because you won the round, you can cast 3 PG next round. Doesn't happen as often, but it can happen. You know, that 3% extra HP could really save you. Say if your character has HA and then you got a dot, because you need to survive 2 ticks of a dot after your HA ends or something like that. You know, there's so many things that could be really useful with this additional 3% and all. But I would say it's rare, but still better than, it's still an advantage over Kaya. Yeah. So this is a good substitute step for Kaya. Okay, let's move on.
Thank you, Grey Monger, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. What do you want to look at, buddy?
Let's go back to the codex. Let's talk about some gimmicky sets. Okay, so let's look at the Kulua Idol set. The one that, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's quite gimmicky, guys. Yeah, you can click on that. So my issue with this set, right, guys, it doesn't do a lot of effective damage. Once again, because it increases your strike skill damage by 30%. I would argue, I haven't done enough testing, but I don't think it's the multiplicative effect of 30%. It could be, but I still think it's additive. Because when I use this set, right, I was doing way less damage. And then you have the RNG effect of 50% chance to increase attack by 20% for 5 seconds upon landing a strike skill, right? There was no way for me to test whether or not it stacks. So let's say if you have 3 strike skills, all of them proc the increased chance by increased attack by 20%. Does it mean it increase your attack by 60%? Yeah. All in all, I felt this card to be too RNG, and the damage, even when it's consistent, it's too little damage. So I don't even bother using it. Yeah. And if you look at the rest of the cards, it's not 6% increased attack for all. So one of them is increasing penetration for 25%. Sorry, for 250 for 5 seconds upon a strike skill. The other one is increasing HP by 6%. Right. Card number 2 is increased HP by 6%.
Yeah, and the third one's penetration.
Yeah, you can, like, Fogo can click on it to show. Yeah. I think it's gimmicky, guys. Don't use this. Like, you need to proc consistently in your favor for this to be even competitive. That's my point.
You guys, I mean, you guys got to understand, Saint's coming from a place of the echelon of the top players. You know, he's coming from a place of, if you're really trying to optimize your characters, he's trying to let you know there's certain cards that just aren't there. They're okay for some players, you know, they're fine to use, but for the top echelon, it's just not going to cut it. You're going to be at a big disadvantage.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I just want to shout out to all the guys viewing us now. For those of you who are not in our Discords, both me and Fogo's Discords, I really highly recommend that you join it.
Yeah, I put the links in the description.
Yeah, can you guys see the descriptions? For you guys who are not in our Discord, I highly recommend you join it to discuss about really all aspects of the game. So, of course, my Discord is more specialized for PvP. Fogo covers a lot of PvE content as well. So feel free to just join it. I highly recommend it, and you get to chat with us live if you have a mic as well. I mean, we don't only have discussions like that during live streams on YouTube. We actually have it every other day. in our Discords, because Discords we're able to stream conferences. Okay. Uh, okay. So let's look at you want to cover other goal? Do you think we should cover goal sets for goal? It's your
Well, I
call.
mean, I think you know, you got the. I mean, the Rio sets. You know, someone had actually mentioned the Elizabeth set. Christmas.
Okay, let's talk about Elizabeth set. So look, so the Elizabeth set favors people who are grabbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, there are very few grabbers in the game. There's Ramon. There's WWE The Rock. Both the gold version and the
That's.
like not even the gold version. The gold version only has one grab actually. Sorry, I think the gold version has two grabs or one grab. His third skill, I'm not sure whether it's a grab or a strike.
I think it's just. I
Uh,
think it's just one grab. I think it's just one grab.
yeah, and then so the Rock Fast, it has two grabs. So honestly speaking, guys, the only advantage this set has over others is, can you click on yeah? So this one, so obtain 2% power when using a grab skill.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, this is the only advantage, and I feel it's very gimmicky because if you're using a different card set, um, that deals more damage, say a 6-star, you would gain more power anyways because you do more damage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a few people know this once again, but you actually gain more power when you do more damage, and you don't gain power based on activating the skill. So how this phenomenon works, right, is how I realize this phenomenon works, or this mechanism works, is that how many I don't know whether you guys have noticed, but good players, they cancel their skills, their finishes just before opponent dies, and then they use an active skill in order to try to gain more PG, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so if you don't do your full damage to the opponent, let's say your opponent has only 1% health, and you use one of your skills, you don't gain much PG, or you don't even see it. It's probably 0 point something percent. So in short, right, how the mechanism works for PG gain is that when you do more damage, you actually gain more PG. And each skill that you use has a max cap for amount of PG that you can actually gain from that skill. So it prevents abuse as well. So that so-called that max cap prevents a abuse. It keeps it, it's a check and balance. But yeah, at the same time, the mechanism of dealing more damage with it, as opposed to not just dealing more damage, it's how much life the opponent loses. So if you use an active skill when opponent has 1% health and you end the round, you don't get much PG. I don't know whether you guys notice it, but if let's say you start the next round at 100% and you use the exact same active skill, you gain more PG. Okay, so in short, I find this set quite gimmicky because the only advantage that you gain from this set in terms of the is the power that you gain from this set number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now the problem with this set number 2 is that it's just 2%, right? My hypothesis is that you would get this 2% regardless if you're using a 6-star card. That's it. Because you deal more damage anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then let's look at the third skill. Sorry, the third set. It says increase crit rate by 8% for 5 seconds when using a grab skill, right? Could you help me click on the
Yeah, we're there,
So I
buddy.
think it's gimmicky as well. I think it's gimmicky because if you look at all the grab characters in play, there's not much proc on crit effects on them, or actually most of them don't have any crit proc on crit effect. So increasing the crit rate doesn't do anything. Like I mean, it deals a little bit more damage, maybe 4%. But once again, you could get this damage increase with a fast cut, which increases say by 7%, which is a lot more than 8% crit rate. So usually crit rate increased by 8% is just roughly less than 5% increase of damage effectively if you use crit damage times your crit rate. So I think it's gimmicky as well. And then you lose damage from the fact that you have less base stats. And then once again, the additional damage equal to 200% of attack on using a grab skill. Don't be mistaken. Once again, this is additive. It is not times 3 your damage. Otherwise, you'll be one-shotting people if it's times 3, right? Or times 2. So it's additive. So if your grab damage deals 600% more damage, then adding 200% means you increase the grab damage by 33% only. It does not mean it times 2 or times 3. Okay? So all in all, I think this is a gimmicky set. However, it's extremely useful for Victor. If
Yep.
you want to do the infinite combo for the Rock,
Yep.
like, yep,
That's what I use.
okay, yep. So this is what I use for Victor as well. Okay, so the rest of the sets are more PvE oriented, not very PvP. If you invested into the Rest in Peace set, which is the WWE Gold set, right? You'd be highly disappointed. With the Choi Undertaker, yeah. This once again is an extremely gimmicky set. You lose so much damage. You lose so much damage when using this. So if you look at set 1, it's increased attack by 6, HP by 6, active skill damage by 7, which is pathetic. Now that you know what 7 is, in the overall scheme of things. Let's say if your skill, remember the transactional skill 1 by transactional blade by
Ignates, yeah.
Ignates, that's 700%,
Excuse
right?
me.
You slap this on Ignates, it increases the damage by 1% only, because 7 out of 700 is 1%. Yeah. So all in all, this is a terrible card. First of all, they limit it to grab skills. If they put it to all skills, I would say, maybe it's useful. But even then, I don't think it's useful. Yeah.
It's a good set for Immortal Victor for the Rock.
No, I still think Elizabeth is way better.
I've seen a guy actually do well with it without using a Tekken set. Actually hit the cap.
Yeah, my understanding is Victor. To gain PG better with Victor, you gotta gain percent. You gotta gain a percent number of PG when hit, not increase your power charge rate. However, for the new Typhoon guy, if your power charge rate functions better, if you increase your power charge rate compared to gaining PG per hit, the reason for that is my understanding is that the bosses have different ways and mechanisms of removing PG.
Yeah.
It could be PG removal by hit when you hit the boss. Okay. So that's why Victor is you lose PG when you hit him, an absolute number. Whereas for my understanding of Typhoon is that he reduces your PG gain by percentage, regardless of whether or not you hit him. So there's a lot of different mechanisms to reduce your PG. You got to understand which one's the absolute, which one is the multiplicative effect, and then you use accordingly. That's why Ryu set is not very effective during Typhoon, but it's more effective during Victor because it gains an absolute number. Whereas for Typhoon, right, you get better PG gain if you have an increased power charge rate, because he reduces your power charge rate. Okay, guys, so this is quite an interesting mechanic which I observed. But once you understand the card system and how all damage is calculated and all the mechanisms, right, it not just improves your PvP experience, it improves your PvE experience as well. Okay.
So this set here would be good for Elemental Typhoon.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
it
so
increases your power charge rate.
we'll move on to the tiers. I think we'll do our best to keep this session to 2 hours. So let's move on to the tiers and discuss best in slots. Do you, Foggle, do you have a ability to draw while the tier is on screen?
No.
So maybe we label which sets BIS and so on and so forth.
No, I can't do that.
Okay, no worries. Never mind, we'll just go to the tier list. Okay, let's expand it.
Just a second. Here we go. Excuse me.
Yeah, so I see some comments talking about Rio versus Tekken. I already explained it. Tekken and Rio, right, is it's pretty much the same in terms of the way you gain PG. It's percentage gain rather than power charge rate increase. So that's why if you use Tekken and Rio versus Typhoon right now, it's not very useful. You don't gain as much. Like I mentioned, it's because what I believe the mechanics is that power charge rate increase has much more effect. As in, you get a higher PG gain effect on Typhoon compared to Victor. But Tekken and Rio, you gain a lot more if you're using on Victor. It's just the way the bosses remove or reduces your. One is remove your PG as an absolute number. The other one is reducing your power charge rate as an absolute. As a relative number. So once you figure out the differences between the two, you'll know which card to draft. Okay. For the purposes of PvP, Tekken is the only set that's relevant compared to Ryu. Ryu is not relevant during PvP. Okay, because you don't have a team relay situation. Right. Shall we go to the tier list? Okay, yeah. Okay, guys. So for the tier list, we'll talk about best in slots character cards for all. I'll go from left to right. So in the tier list, right, the top left, he's the best character in game in a 3v3 setup. Not 1v1, guys. Like I said, 1v1 tier list, I'll create it another day. I'll send it out. But 1v1 tier list is a totally different tier list from this. Like I said, if it's a 1v1, Adele is going to be much higher, guys, because he's really powerful in 1v1. But the problem with Adele is that he doesn't function well in the 3v3 because he's very paper. And there are a lot of characters that can kind of trade with him. Okay. So let's talk about when I say tier 1, left to right is the order of priority. So Sina's higher tiered than Psyche. Same thing, tier 2, K is higher tiered than Rockfest. Okay, so that's how it all works. What I'll do is I'll cover best in slots for set cards only. I think we'll do option cards another day. Foggo, is that correct? Because option cards is really very...
Yeah. I mean, it's we don't overcomplicate it, man. Just keep it.
Yeah.
Stick to
So
one.
we'll cover
Stick to
set
one
cards
set.
for today. We'll cover option cards for another day. In terms of the finisher cards, no doubt about it. Don't need to think about it, guys. Always use the 6-star versions because it increases base stats as one. But more importantly, most of the 6-star versions is 3PG, right? There are rare exceptions where
pretty big.
you won't use the 6-star. Sorry, is there a rare exception? Sorry, there's no exception. You should always use the 6-star. Sorry. Yeah, I was thinking of K-Fest. That's a rare exception where you use the old gold card versus the new gold card. Yeah. So anyway, so like I said, we probably won't have a session to describe the finisher cards. If you have the 6-star, use 2 of them. No doubt about it. Option cards is a whole new ball game. We'll talk about that another day because it's way too much content. We'll probably go to 5 hours if you talk about option cards. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, we're not paid for this, guys. So feel free to donate to I mean, Foggo can't say this because he's Asian and he doesn't want. No, actually, he's not Asian. He's a Caucasian guy in Asia. But, to follow Asian cultures, Asian culture, he wouldn't. It would be a bit embarrassing for him to ask for donations. But because I'm a guest, I can say, guys, please donate to Foggo if we're not paid for this. So please donate to Foggo if you find this very insightful and useful. Okay. Or the least you could do is join our Discords.
Thanks for the endorsement. That's cool.
Yeah. So, guys, once again, for those who are not in our Discords, please join our Discords. Extremely full of content, a lot of live streams and conversations. Subscribe to Foggo as well. Thank you very much, Scarly Jones. Sorry. So, yeah, our Discord, tons of content. Friendly matches happens all the time. PvE content. We have voice chats all the time, which means you don't need to chat on like what you're doing in YouTube now. You can just literally talk to us over voice. All right. And we stream PvP fights all the time with top celebrities. I mean, in my guild, we have more than 75% of the top 40 players in the Discord. Okay. So let's go back to BC. Enough of promoting promoting. Yeah. So yeah. Please donate to Foggo. He's a poor man. Oh my god. So anyway, I can say that, but he can't, right? Okay, so let's go back to the tier list. So we got John Cena Gonitz. Let's talk about tier 1. John Cena, Gonitz, Lady Big, and Psyche. Oh yeah, so bear in mind, guys, Lady Geese isn't out yet in terms of I haven't made a decision, but she's probably going to fall between end of tier 3 or end of tier 4. Okay, so Gonitz, Cena, best in slot, Akane. Based on the discussion I had just now, but if you missed it, I'll just say it again. When he starts the next round, if you trigger Akane, he starts the next round with 2 additional abilities. First, he will never die because if you hit him, he'll have immunity, and if you hit him, you'll be stunned for 1.5 seconds. That's one. 2 is that he has the armor removal ability because he's less than 49% health. So the next round is going to be it's terrible to clash with him. Yeah. So yeah, in short, best in slot for John Cena, Kane. Okay. Next, let's talk about Gonitz. Gonitz is interesting. I have a case for Ryugo and Shine Set. That is the 2 best in slots for him. Simply because Ryugo gives him the ability to not die in one hit or one string. Whereas for Shine Set gives him the ability to still die in one string because Shine Set effectively just gives you 14% more HP, whereas Ryugo gives you about 40. So 14 versus 40. But what Shine Set does is allows you to get out of a string, which is slightly different. You will survive the string not because you lost more life. You'll survive the string because you're able to run away, which means your opponent doesn't deal as much damage and doesn't gain as much PG. So that's a consideration. Okay, and frankly speaking, you probably won't survive 2 strings, so it won't proc twice for the Shine Set because Shine needs to proc like once every 15 seconds, right? So yeah, that's another consideration. To me, the biggest thing is that you lose the ability to guard break. So you got to make that choice. Yeah, which one suits your style better? If you're lousy at dodging, then Shine Set is better. In short, yeah. Okay, Lady Big, no doubt about it. Ryogo Set because she doesn't have any guard break skills. Okay. Psyche, Kaya, and possibly Taken. Okay, if you're really good at dodging, really good at avoiding damage, Taken might be better for you. Okay, K-Fest, either Ryugo or Kaya. I wouldn't put Akane on him. He doesn't really gain any advantage if he brings over 1% health. Plus, he's not a sweeper. Akane is quite decent on sweepers. Actually, Akane may work quite well on Psyche as well. But I wouldn't lah. Yeah, I wouldn't lah. Because what happens is that he's a defense character and you just don't gain as much from that. Okay, the reason why K-Fest works quite well in terms of Ryogo is because once he only has one option to gut break, which is his S3. And yeah, and sometimes you might miss the S3. And then you have a stack effect from the debuffs from his core and as well as Ryogo. So that's pretty strong. Now let's go back to Pretty Zero. Pretty Zero is interesting. Shine Set, Ryugo, and Akane are in question. Actually, I wouldn't even put Shine on her. Yeah. For her, I might put a Taken option instead of Shine. Because once again, the reason why I don't like to put Shine on attack-based characters, right, is because they only survive one string anyways. Any 2 strings, they're going to die. So you might as well just put a Taken because Taken only activates one. Shine Set activates multiple times, but I feel that's gimmicky because they can't survive more than 1 attack anyways. Okay, so P0, reason why she's so strong with a Akane is because if she goes to the next round, she has that immunity as well. However, it's, my understanding is if you have a core immunity and you have a set card immunity, it kind of cancel each other off. So we did testing with Brianna. My guildmate did testing with Brianna and with Akane. She doesn't get 8 seconds of invulnerability. She only gets 6 still. So someone can do testing with Pretty Zero, but I'm pretty sure it's still 2 seconds if you bring Akane to the next round. However, because Pretty Zero is a sweeper, her surviving to the next round is always a threat. which is why I would put her Akane as, if you are a more offensive driven P0, Akane is quite powerful. It also ensures your sweeping is more one shot potential because the additional damage from Akane is really quite significant compared to a Ryogo. So when I say full one shot, right? So another advantage she has is she can get 3 PG if, let's say, you proc the additional damage of the 30% consistently in one full string. 2 S1s, 1 S2, and 1 S3. You can get 3 PG in championships right now if you're using a Kani set. If it procs well. Okay, which means the damage is high enough. And then with Ryogo, it can never happen. You will never ever have 3 PG because your damage is not high enough. And then you'll never get 3 PG from the full string. Yeah, and Ryogo, of course, gives her a much higher chance to proc her guard break. Yeah. So I discussed earlier, if you combine Ryogo guard break together with a S1, that's 37% effective chance to guard break. The complement rule of probability, where you have 2 chances to break, what is the effective chance of it breaking overall at least 1 time? Okay. So let's go on to Vice. Vice, no doubt about it, Kaya set. Because a lot of her option cards now stack creates a multiplier effect because it adds additional 3% of damage based on your defense, so on and so forth. Nameless, no doubt about it. It's Ryogo because of Awakening. Pre-Awakening, Taken. Because there was no way to escape a 3 PG Nameless in the past. And he
Yeah.
would just sweep the entire team. So Nameless used to be tier 1, yeah.
Yeah, plus he does crit hits even when he doesn't land a successful attack. They all do, right? I mean, so you're still building up your PG game when you're attacking and they're guarding.
PG is ridiculous, yeah. I mean, it's a game-winning move right now. If Nameless procs his first skill on you, assuming he has all 3 skills with his S1,
Yeah, it can be lights out.
it's pretty much lights out in my opinion, yeah. So Ryogo makes him still very, very relevant. Okay. Shion, once again, Ryogo versus Akane. So Ryogo for more of the defensive Shion, Akane for more of the offensive Shion. I pointed out that because Shion has the ability to remove armor, makes her quite deadly in the next round. Okay. The rock is quite interesting. Some may say Akane because he has a one shot potential on the next round.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could start the next round with his armor skill and then have 2 seconds of immunity and try to zone and then attack the enemy, right? But my issue with him is that he's very high risk because he dies in one string against high tiered characters. So Ryogo might be better. Nest set is also quite decent on him. So I don't know why you guys noticed, but Yurgen uses a Nest set on him.
That makes sense.
This was when Yurgen comes to global. I'm pretty sure Yurgen will switch to Akane when he's using Rock in global. But anyway, my point being is, for those who don't know, Yurgen is like the top Korean player in the current server. In my humble opinion, he's the best player across all servers, global inclusive, Japan inclusive. Okay, so do check him out. Ask people in the chat who Yurgen is and what link. If you're in the Discord, we can just send that link to you. Yeah. Okay. Maxima, interesting. Same thing, Ryogo or Akane, depending on your playstyle. Defensive, Maxima is Ryogo. Offensive is Akane. But once again, take note, I don't really think Akane is that useful on her because she already has the immunity core. So you're kind of wasting it on the next round. Okay. Kula is Ryogo or Kaya. Some may argue what's this thing called? Some may argue Neset. I think Ryogo Ryogo is probably the best on her. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't even put Kaya there because Kaya, she's a balanced character. So it's either Ryogo or possibly Ness. I don't think Akane is that useful for her. Because she doesn't really have a guard break skill, guys. So the reason why Ryogo is very important on her is because she has a 35% chance to guard break only, compared to other characters like Maxima or Rock, who has or Shion. They all have a 100% chance to guard break or the guard bypass with a grab. So for all semantics reasons, when I use the word guard break, I mean any form of guard bypass. Okay, it could be a grab, it could be a CC, so on and so forth. CC being a crowd control like stun, petrify, or frozen. Yeah. So Kulai only has a 35% chance to freeze, and as well as a core bomb of the after 6 seconds thing. In my opinion, Ryogo would be the best on her simply because she doesn't have that many guard bypass options. So Kamui is okay. So I'll talk about Kamui. Kamui is very clearly the shine set. The shine set is because he procs the additional damage on crit, and as well as the fact that he's kind of paperish. So he needs the SA to proc, and if it procs, if he comes back right with his SA, he can use his hyper armor removal skill, which doesn't have SA. So extremely powerful right there. And plus his balance and such shine set, adds 14% to attack and defense equally. Okay. I think Fogo, are there any questions? I just realized we've been talking more than asking or taking questions.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not really seeing any questions. I've been looking for them and paying attention to the chat. And somebody brought up it's Arvin brought up, but there's no Lady Geese. Saint already addressed this earlier. The system that he uses, he can't upload the Lady Geese icon because he has to wait for the individual that made this program to upload it before he can do it.
Yeah. And
I mean,
and I wouldn't, like I already said, I think Geese will be high towards the end of tier 4. Towards the top of tier 4 or the end of tier 3. And the reason for that is when you're playing against an optimized player, it's really easy to block a Geese attack and to neutralize it because her S3 isn't an immediate grab. It's 2 strike hits first before a grab. So you can effectively dodge it. It's very similar to Jin and Kazuya, where you can just avoid the stuns altogether. Because it's grab on last hit, and similar to Jin and Kazuya, which is stun on last hit, which is very silly, which means you can block the first few hits and then just dodge, and nothing will happen to you.
yeah.
Okay, so in other words, she doesn't have a guard break skill, or
Yeah.
effective one in this game.
So, like, you're gonna have to put the Ryugo on her if you really want her to be effective. And
correct. So the Ryugo set is the best set on her.
I mean,
right?
she is strong. Like, her damage is good, but once her immunity is gone, she's just like any other attack type character. Bye bye. Plus, it's easy to counter S3. It's that S3 really is a big hindrance for her, man. It's I wish they would have. I wish it had been an instant grab. But
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah. They really should have made it instant. Like even if it was a close distance instant grab, her tier would be much higher because of that.
It
But
would
it
have
isn't.
been.
So Toby Jones asked, "How is Geese better than Rock?" Though, I think you better state which Geese you're talking about, and which Rock you're talking about, because there's Rock Johnson and then there's Rock Howard. So if you guys are gonna ask questions, do state the characters specifically, like the full names. Yeah. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll just move on because I want to cover at least up to tier 4 or maybe 5.
I think Shion's better than Lady Geese any day. Do you guys have any questions? Do you think John Cena will lose some power?
Yeah, give it a while. I think the meta is moving towards characters that have the ability to remove armor skills. That's my guess. They have to create more characters that can remove armor skills. It's been showing up. I mean, look at Mature, look at Adele, look at Shion,
Yeah.
look at
Well,
Kamui.
Mature, they really upped her because they gave her that damn option card and a 3PG.
Yeah,
It made her
correct.
a lot
So it's quite
better.
decent now. Yeah, so in my new tier list, guys, when this tier list was made, bear in mind, hold on, when this tier list was made, the option cards were out already. Sorry. So Mature might move because of what's this thing called? Lady Geese being around. So Mature might move to tier 3 and then Lady Geese is end of tier 4. It's possible. But let me deal with that once the Lady Geese icon comes out.
Who's the best in PvP? Well, if you're going by this tier list that Saint has here, the top 4 there: John, Ginnitz, Lady Big, and Saint.
Correct.
Or
So
I'm
Sina
sorry, and
is the best.
Psyche.
So guys, I'm going to explain again. I'm going to do it again for those who didn't catch the discussion at the start. This tier list has a couple of assumptions. Best players are using them. Optimized gameplay, aka, which means 10k to 11k players, aka me.
Yeah.
And then not only me, but they are well known for being strong in that character. So if you can see if you go to our Discord server in Omega, you can see a Hall of Fame, where there are certain characters or players in the community which we nominate who are best in class, regardless of their score. That means they're the best player of this particular character. Okay. So that assumes that. Another thing that this assumes, it assumes that all characters here are optimized in terms of battle cards and so on and so forth. Another assumption is that it's 6 draft and it's no restrictions week. Another assumption is that it's a 3v3 setting, not a 1v1 setting. Like I said, if it's a 1v1 tier list, guys, extremely different. John Cena wouldn't be up there. Gonitz will be up there. Adele will be higher. BB Van will be higher because BB Van's pretty decent in 1v1. I mean, compared to a 3v3. Rugal will be higher as well. Rugal is actually much higher in a 1v1 setting. Um, so on and so forth. So please bear in mind the caveats. If you got more questions, you drop by the Discord and you can ask me or anyone else. Okay, guys? So this is a 3v3 assumption, which means you got to add to the overall winning percentage of your team if you draft any of this character. Cena is powerful because in a 3v3 setting, he has anti-sweeping moves with his stun core and as well as his his super armor removal. Okay, anti-sweeping is very important. So Gonitz doesn't have any anti-sweeping capability, which is why he falls behind Cena overall in a 3v3 setting. Okay. Right, and then in the 1v1, pretty big won't be so high as well, but because pretty big has a lot of anti-sweeping ability with her stun core and her counter attack. Okay. So anyway, let's go back to the tier list. Okay, so we stopped at where? Where do we stop, Fogo?
I believe you were. Was it Kami?
Kim,
I think
was
that
it?
was the last one.
Pretty Kim? Yeah.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay,
Like
so Pretty
Kim, yeah.
Kim, Kaya set or Ryogo. So I know Phoenix uses Ryogo. Shout out to him. He's in school right now. But I think Kaya is pretty decent on her as well in terms of damage output. I don't really think Ryogo is good on her because Ryogo, I mean, her skills are pretty short range. Yeah. So I wouldn't put a Ryogo on her. Her damage gets reduced quite significantly. If she had longer range skills, I would put Ryogo on her. So for example, K has longer range skills, so quite decent, right? Yeah, so put Ryogo on him, possible, or Kaya. But for her, the play style that's optimized for her is zoning in during her Petrify Bomb. And then all your stack damage and the potential damage you get from Kaya is way better in that sense. Okay, so Kaya for her. I wouldn't put Akane on her. Yep. Actually, maybe I would because she has a stun bomb, right? So if you hit her next round, she'll be immune. So let's say you hit her next round, she's immune. It triggers the stun bomb at 1% after 5 seconds. And then so you wait for the 2 seconds immunity to finish, and then you use your hyper armor, so you'll have 5 seconds total of immunity, and then your your petrify bomb would occur, and then you can hone in on the damage. So yeah, maybe Akane is quite good on her. So I could be mistaken. I do not have enough Akane sets. I only have I think one at the moment that's maxed out. I have another two more sets, I think, but I'm not gonna invest. What do you call it? The new battle card system where you're leveling cards up. Ah, terrible.
That's a whole nother
Okay.
subject. Yeah.
Yeah, so Akane could be quite good on her as well. But my hypothesis is, for now it's Kaya. Okay, BB Van different. BB Van, no doubt about it, it's Ryogo because she's paper. She's actually probably she has a very low base defense and base HP. That's why she's so paper. So I think a base HP is like 60 to 70k, and a base defense is less than 1,000. So it's very similar to Adele, which has very similar stats as well. So both of them are the most paper characters in the game. Okay, so Ryogo on her, no doubt about it. And when you play against optimized players, they block everything, even your S3, and then they neutralize it for BB Van. So you need a Ryogo. Okay, Brianna, interesting character. I would put Kaya on her. Yep, or Ryogo once again. Uh, I think Ryogo is fine. Because it's quite easy to block most of her skills, and if her S2 doesn't proc, it's really sad because it
Mhm.
doesn't reset as one. And then it kind of makes her very vulnerable after. She's kind of. I really think they did her S1 no favors. Her S1 is terrible. I mean, for going on comment about her S1 is.
It's slow. She like stands back and then she like it's an interrupt skill, right? But it gives them plenty of time. The startup's terrible on it. It gives them plenty of time to dodge, to get away from it. Uh, it's. I noticed when I was using her, that was a downfall of her. She's a good character, but that was something that was a big downfall. I mean, if she got her
Correct. So the thing
S2,
about it is
go
that
ahead.
it lasts so long that you don't have any little or no super armor left when you're using her S1 as well. That's another
Yeah,
issue
yeah,
I
yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So and her gut break or gut bypass skill, right, is separate from her armor skill. So this is something that's really huge for me. That kind of
Yeah,
makes her not so good.
yeah. Unlike
Yeah.
Shion.
So Ryuko is quite good on her. Yeah, I wouldn't put Akane on her because it doesn't stack with her core. Yeah. So same thing with Claw Yori. My opinion, Ryogo is better on him than Kaya. Uh, unless you're really very good at catching. Once again, so Ryogo for the defensive character, Kaya for the offensive character. Who's good at catching. Reason for that is his guard break skill is not 100%, it's 70%, and it's short range. It's much shorter compared to Brianna even. So that's another issue I have with him. Actually, that's a very big issue. That's why a lot of people rank Cloriori higher, right? But the whole issue with him is he's his guard break is short range and it's not 100%. And with all these characters with counter attack, right? You can essentially get out of it quite easily. His skills, only his S2 knocks you up in the air. All other skills, sorry, his S1 as well. But his engagement skill of S3 allows you to counter attack. So if you have a counter attack with hyper armor like Cena and Big, right? He just doesn't fare well. Or with Shion, he just doesn't fare well. Or with Vice, who can trade with him because she can remove skill resets timers. All in all, I just don't think he's not effective because he's short range guard break with non guarantee, and the fact that he's engaged. If his if his super armor was on his S2, he'll be higher in the tier. Yeah. The problem about him is if you're playing against an average player, he would fare better because an average player likes to clash, and you don't want to clash and concede damage to a bleed explosion that Yori does. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. There's so many caveats to this assumptions to this tier list, right? Another tier list that would change drastically. So there's a 3v3 version, there's a 1v1 version. There's also the average player version. So if you remove the condition that it's optimized gameplay, then if the average player uses a character, there are a lot of characters that will do much better. So like Rugal, he'll probably be in tier 1 or tier 2, right, for the average player. Because the average player uses him very, very well. Actually, I would take it back. the average player, the best character for the average player, right, to get wins is probably Pretty Zero. Fogo, do you agree?
I would agree. I would agree. I mean, what everybody does pretty much the same thing. They start off with their S1, they get the ignore guard, they dodge over there, they hit their second skill, remove your roll, and then boom, boom, 1, 3. And then their PG's built up, they can stall for a little bit, boom, boom, dead.
Yeah.
It's pretty much.
Pizza Panic, K is high because it's assuming optimized gameplay. Yeah, sorry, Fogo, you're saying, my bad.
Yeah, it's just, Pretty Zero's just a luck of the draw. Honestly, if she gets the ignore guard, it's pretty much over. I mean, and then if she has some PG built up by the end of that first fight, well, then it's pretty much bye. I mean, she's an OP character.
Would place her probably in tier 1 and Rugal
Oh,
probably
yeah.
in tier 2.
Yeah, on
something
my
like that.
tier list, she's tier 1 because that's kind of how I base things. I don't base it on top players. I base it on the average player and most players. And yeah, she's definitely tier 1 for those players.
Yep.
Okay,
Christmas Elizabeth. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead. Finish what you're doing.
So Christmas Elizabeth, no doubt about it, Ryogo is the best set on her. Because the optimized way of playing Christmas Elizabeth is defensive and play the run out timer. Tier 4, mature. Some may argue Akane. Some may argue Ryogo. So once again, it's a matter of your play style. If you're more offensive, then Akane is better. If you're more defensive, then Ryogo is better. For Adele, however, I think Ryogo is the only way to go. Because he doesn't have much gut break skills available to him. It's only a 50% chance to gut break. So you need the Ryogo. And he's so paper anyways. Putting Akane on him will make him not much better. Yeah. Katsura, I would put Ryogo. Or surprisingly, what's S4iNt Set? Because he's balanced as well. And he does have procs based on crit.
Well, he's also got ignore guard on 2 different skills, a chance of it.
Yeah. Stun as well, yeah.
It increases his chances of getting it.
I think his ignore guard is a core, right? It's not a... Is it a core?
I'm pretty sure he gets an ignore guard on his first and third skill, a chance of doing it.
Yeah, it's not core. Sorry, I got it mixed up. Yeah, you're right. So it's first and third skill, and then he has a chance to stun as well.
Yeah, 30% chance. Yeah.
Elizabeth, the duck. 30% for first and third, and then 50% on second through a stun. So very similar to Genjuro, I guess. Like different ways of gut breaking. Okay, Rock Howard, quite interesting. Rock Howard, bar none. It is Kaya. Reason for that, right, is when Rock Howard has 50% more health, he increases his attack by 50% based on your defense. So what that means is that on top of the Kaya increase of 45, you get an additional 50. You have an increased attack of 95%, guys. So a lot of people don't realize it, but Kaya is really very strong on him. And it also helps that when he's below 50% health, he takes, I think, 5% less damage per hit and stacks up to 10 times or something. Or is it 3% less damage per hit but stacks up to 10 times, something like that. Yeah, but in short, Kaya is really the best on him. And it's a bit silly to put Ryogo on him because his gut break skill is easily one of the best in game. And it's one of the fastest and one of the longest as well, in terms of speed and distance. And it resets. Yeah. So I don't think you need more gut break on him. Yeah. And few know this, but his gut break skill, in my opinion, is one of the best in game because his gut break skill has the ability to remove damage from the opponent for 3 seconds, minus 70% attack as well. So a lot of people don't realize that. So clashing with it is quite okay. As in using it to clash with your opponents, if they clash with you, is okay because you won't take much damage. So his gut break skill is one of the closest you get to a hyper armor with gut break. So if you look at it, there's nobody in game with a hyper armor and gut break. Is that correct? In one skill.
No, I I can't. No, I'm not thinking of anybody that has both in the same skill. Just super armor and guard break.
Correct. So he's the closest. Because when you strike someone with your S2 with Rock Howard, they minus 70% attack for 3 seconds, which is kind of like very similar to a damage reduction of 70% or hyper armor. In some cases, they don't do much damage to you at all. So that's something to take note of. Where Rock Howard has one of the best guard break skills in the game. My only issue with him, guys, the reason why he's not tiered so high is because he doesn't have much options after you miss that guard break. And the worst thing about it is, post Awakening, they made his 3PG useless, similar to Rugal. Yeah. Okay, Rugal, best in slot. Ryogo or Akane. I still put Ryogo because he's an attack character. He can get one-shotted in the current meta. So the Rock Johnson can one-shot him. Yeah. K-Fest can't one-shot him, but definitely can string him all the way to his his core armor to be activated. So I put Ryogo on him. If not, then I'll put Akane. The reason why I don't think Akane is that good on him is because even if he brings that 1% to the next round, you wouldn't have died in the next round anyways, because the core effect of him would have triggered. Do you know what I mean, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which means that he would have survived anyways, or at least have a higher chance of survival. Okay, so Jintoki different. So we got the Jintoki set, the Gintama set, the bleed one, which I told you very strong one-shot potential with the 75% increased damage to the bleed explosion as well as the dot explosion. Like, damn it, right? It's a multiplier effect. And then the shine is quite decent on him as well. Although I argue, actually, frankly speaking, I don't think shine is good on him. My bad. It's because his weakness is lack of guard break, 50% chance. So I'd go with Ryogo with him. Yeah. Okay. I'll run through tier 5 really quick. We're coming towards the end of the session. We're probably going to go into Q&A. But Leona is really weak. No guard break, so you have to have Ryogo. No doubt about it. Ignites, I would also put Ryogo because he's so paper. Man, Chrysalid, Chrysalid is a tough one for me. Yeah, I'd put Ryogo or Kaya, not Akane. Reason for that is you want to have a higher chance of not getting one-shotted once he hits 40% health. So Ryogo really stops that from happening, and Kaya, because that's your real value that Chrysalid does, right? Is when he's below 40% health. Now, when you're playing against good players, they string you till you are about slightly above 40, and then they'll finish you off in your last 40. So what happens is a lot of players will then want to have a higher effective HP at 40%, so they don't get one-shotted. So that's why Akane will not be as good as Ryogo or Kaya on him. Okay, Geese, Ryogo, no doubt about it, because his gut breaking skills are pretty weak. Except his S2 is quite decent, but most people just block it and then neutralize it with an armor skill. Genjuro, Ryogo. Terry, Yurgen uses no on him because Terry's weakness is a lack of SA. Frankly speaking, I put Kaya on him. Yeah, I wouldn't put maybe not even Kaya. Sorry, I might put a Ryogo on him, honestly, because his problem is his gut break skill is very short range and it's quite predictable, as Foggle found out. Yeah. Same thing as Hamaru, Ryogo. Yep, no doubt about it, because he's pretty paper as well. And there's no advantage gain to have Akane. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I think okay. Now I'll just say the rest lah. I'll just say without explaining details on why. Mukai is Ryogo, Orochi is Ryogo, Kondo is Ryogo, Elizabeth is Ryogo, original Zero is Ryogo, Kazuya is Ryogo, Kyofest is Ryogo. You know what?
They're all Ryugo.
Pretty much everyone is Ryogo except for. Let me see. Lolly Chang is not Ryogo. Lolly Chang is Kaya. Yep, everyone else is Ryogo, my friends. Orochi is probably Kaya. Orochi Yashiro, sorry. Yep. Everyone else is Ryogo. Yeah. So that's it. So that covers the best in slots for set cards for the tier list. Geese is Ryogo, because she doesn't have a effective gut bypass skill. Yeah. So Fogo, you want to do Q&A?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Guys, got any questions? So you guys all heard like a pretty common thing amongst all those characters for the most part. Ryugo, Ryugo, Ryugo. For the most part, right? Mentions of Akane, but you know, for PvP, Ryugo is just really, you really can't go wrong with slapping that on your character. For the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty. Is Elizabeth?
Oh yeah, Elizabeth is quite good 1v1. Yeah.
Elizabeth's awesome for 1-on-1.
Yeah, quite decent.
You know, especially if you're a freaking defensive player that likes to kick back and kind of run the timer. Dr. Downvote, the Noah set is a good set for PvE for the most part. For, you know, for like Hell's Dungeon and for, you know, on certain characters, it's a good attack set. It's not the best, but it's a good one.
The problem is Akane totally kicked it out of the meta for both PvP and PvE. That's the whole issue.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you know, when people ask, is it any good? You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a fest set. You know, it has high CP. It is good.
Yeah.
If you don't have other certain sets.
Yeah, I just wouldn't pull for it anymore. So if you have to your battle card selectors, right, they just never pull for Noah ever. Use your slots for all other fest sets, but never ever pull for Noah.
It's Arvin. Yes, I do think that'll happen. Pretty sure Sane will agree.
Yeah, I really hope there is.
No, I'll be honest.
I really want the versatility of the game to go up in terms of diversity for character choices.
They just have to be careful about, you know, like character that can counter Genets could be a character that could be just pretty over the top. And they have to be very careful about balancing them, not making them too strong. Because if they do, then it's just power creep. And it's really not healthy for a game.
Yeah, there are specific conditions to make Gonits quite ineffective against a character without overpowering a person.
Yeah, I mean they could make a character where they're immune to disable guard.
No, I
does
think
he disable roll or disable guard? I forget.
Disable roll. I think.
Okay.
I'll tell you one character that one skill or mechanism that would stop Gonits. Hyper armor for 3 seconds. When bleeding.
Oh yeah, that'd be a mean one.
Yep. Or when bleeding. Actually, this will stop everything. When bleeding, opponent gets stunned for 2 seconds. And that will kill Gonits. That would destroy Gonits. Yeah.
Yeah. CC would definitely be a big one for him.
Yeah.
Because he is a paper character. You take away the hyper armor, he's I mean, he's boom, boom, boom. You know, I mean, if you get a hold of him, he's dead.
Yeah. So just like they just need to proc something on a defensive thing on what you call it on bleed. That would solve the Garnet's problem. And it's I think it will happen soon, guys.
Well, you know, the KOF team's pretty good about introducing new things. I mean, in all honesty, they really are. So, you know, it's I wouldn't put it past them. I know a lot of people are kind of sick of Guinness being numero uno. Like, and some people love it because it's their favorite character. And but yeah, it's honestly it does get old when you pull for a character and they get banned religiously. But at the same time, when they get banned, you can use that to your advantage. You know, you can force people to pick other characters.
Yep.
Orochi Chris
Anyway,
is not very good.
yeah. Anyway, I think for tier based questions, right? I mean, I'll be appearing in more streams in the future. I'm arranging one with another YouTuber, you know, Gunsmith. We'll be talking about tier in the future as well, probably this weekend, something. So we can answer those questions over Discord as well. I mean, I talk on Discord together with Forgo and a lot of other streamers all the time. I can answer those questions there. Today, I think it's more on set cards. If you guys got any questions regarding that, yeah, because I think I saw one about Psyche losing power. I mean, we could go on and on.
It's
Yeah.
Arvin asked about that. Yeah, you know.
So Psyche isn't losing power. The problem is you don't find many good Psyche users. That's the problem. Yeah. So I would say the best Psyche user in our server at the moment it's Phoenix. So you can play against Phoenix and then let me know what you think. When you join our server and you play against Phoenix, just let me know what you think, whether or not that's true. It's Arvin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll find out he's pretty freaking retarded.
Psyche is actually extremely powerful. What's your opinion on crowd control characters? Auranto. Okay, never mind. I know it's a tier question and not a set card question. I mean, the reason why they're ranked higher on my tier list is because it's both an anti-sweeping mechanic and as well as a engagement mechanic, kind of like a guard bypass option, right? So those people with this kind of skills usually rank higher. Yeah.
Those
So
kind of
Inception is actually mature. So
Mhm.
you know what the problem is mature is? Guys, let me tell you, okay? If they kept things simple and gave her stun on a stun bomb instead of a freeze bomb, everything she would be in tier 3. But because they gave her a freeze bomb, right? How CC works in the game is that you can actually screw up your combo if a person is frozen. A stun character allows them to get staggered, whereas a frozen
Mhm.
character and a petrified
Yeah.
character doesn't allow them to get staggered.
Yeah, you
That
can
one
juggle them.
difference alone is bad enough to cost you the game.
Yeah. You can juggle a character that gets stunned.
But you can't juggle a character that's
Yeah,
frozen or
because they're
petrified.
frozen
It's
right in a
extremely
specific place
stupid.
on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. That mechanic alone is so stupid. Simply put, right? I don't know whether you've noticed, but if you string a mature while the guy is frozen, or while you're stringing a person and the guy gets frozen, it can actually interrupt your string.
Yeah. I
So
didn't
it
know
can
actually I
actually,
didn't know that.
yeah. So it can actually be counterproductive. It's so stupid. Yeah, they should just remove that mechanic.
I want to answer this question real quick. Nostrafus85 is asking both of us, you know, do we ever discuss the future of the game? Yes. From the gameplay to the character designs? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Pretty much all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Just pop by our Discords, man.
I mean, seriously,
Yeah,
guys, this
like all the time.
That's the future of the game, and the character designs are always. We're always talking about it. It's very important because we all want the game to survive. We all love it. We want it to survive and do well. So when we see something that Netmarble's done that we feel isn't good for the game, yeah, we talk about it. When they do something that's good for the game, we talk about it. I mean, it's yeah, of course. Rio 14, what can you expect for him? He's asking you, Saint.
Real 14? I don't know. Yeah, these days
Uh,
I don't know what to expect from
when
Netmarble.
you when you just see something on like a Gigi Proto's channel for those little sneak peeks, more or less, you don't really know. I mean, honestly, they lately those sneak peeks have left out a lot of details. You can't really make an assumption on anything until the character actually shows up in the game, until you can actually play them. You know, because sometimes you see a new effect and you wonder how it's going to play out. Like when I first saw Lady Geese, I thought, "Oh my god, this is a counter for Pretty Zero easily." That was my first impressions. And then it turns out not really. Not really. You know, and you just sometimes you can't just look at their skills and look at their effects and think they're going to be this and this. I mean, yeah, there's that chance, but you don't really know
Yeah, you
until
got to
you
look at the
play them.
animation execution and
That's
speeds.
right.
Yeah.
You got to test them, and you know, you got startups, animation speeds like Saint just mentioned. You got full animations on the PG cards. There's so many things that play a part in how well a character performs. Like some characters PGs get canceled easily, some don't.
Yeah.
Some characters have full animation PGs, some don't. I mean, there's so much. Some characters you can dodge their attacks easily. Some you can't. Some some characters are better at catching than other characters. I mean, there's a plethora of things that you have to analyze and look at to really accurately judge these things.
Yeah. Hey, Joker, you asked a question about Light and Shadow set, which is the Noah set. Um, I don't think you should pull for Noah set at all. So whatever it is, right? Noah set has been overshadowed by Akane. So if you're using your selectors for battle cards, um, I recommend never to select Noah. Only select Akane if you want a attack base, 6-star set. Yeah.
I
Uh,
I will second this. Joker, from the standpoint of if you don't have any other card sets, I use it all the time in Hell's Dungeon. For a lot of characters, it's if it's the only set you have, then you know put it on. You can put it on most characters. I've even used the Noah set, and this isn't optimal at all on defensive characters for Hell's Dungeon, and still was able to get the clear. It's just, I mean, it's not optimal, but if that's the only set you have, it's still a fest set. You want anything to that, Saint?
yeah, I think that's good.
I mean, you guys got to remember, when Saint speaks, he comes from a place of optimal playing, optimal. He comes from a place of this is the cards you should have. This is the cards that are the best. You know, not really from a place of, well, if you already have this card, that's what you should use. Right? I mean, that's kind of
Yeah. So I mean, so a lot of when you invest time into a game, making the right decisions is going to have consequences, right? So I mean, the whole idea of creating videos like that is to make sure that people makes the informed choices.
yes, yes, of course.
Yeah. So straight up, right? Akane is better than Noah simply because in PVE you do much more damage. And not only do you do more damage, you also uh can use it in championships to do more damage as well. Okay. On championships, the super armor is not very useful because it's very RNG on a Noah and it's not on command. There's a Doctor Downvote. Hold on. Doctor Downvote.
Joker, no, it's really not.
Okay, so Doctor Downvote said that you don't take the PvP portion seriously. It's okay. So a lot of players, they only start playing PvP when they have their characters strong enough. I think that's fair, because if you don't get them strong enough and you go into PvP right now, it's going to be a slaughter fest. So there are a lot of my guild members who are in top 40, right? They are free to play, but they worked it. They grinded, right? And they got the cards and they got the stuff free of charge, and now they are relevant. So I wouldn't say that you shouldn't stop playing PvP altogether. My advice is to Doctor Downvote is to continue playing the game, grind till the point where your characters are strong enough to enter PvP, and then play. That's what I would do. Yeah.
On my JP account, which is free to play, I don't play Championship at all. For that exact reason, don't have good enough cards. I just couldn't compete at all, and I know that, so that's why I don't do it. I mean, just like Saint said, you just got to grind out, and then whenever you do acquire the cards, because eventually you'll get them. If you grind enough and you play the game long enough, you will get them. Like he said, I know a free to play guy that has 5 sets of the Ryugo.
I have 7.
I mean, it's ridiculous, right? I mean, it's.
Sorry, I'm not free to play, guys. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. I was about to say, you freaking whale.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding, but but seriously, guys, it's really just a matter of luck when it comes to pulls, anyways.
Yep.
I
think Joker asked about the inset not being used in PvP. So I addressed it earlier in the video. You can just watch this once we go offline.
I answered that is I said no. It's usually not. No, because there's just better options.
And in short, the reason why inset is not used is because, once again, the SA is not on command. It's RNG, and it's too short anyways. And then you do lose out in terms of damage on specific characters. You don't deal enough damage on specific characters on the inset as well, compared to even Noah or Akane.
Yeah, it's not that, we're saying it's a bad set. It's just there's other sets that are just more optimal. That's what we're saying.
Don't pull for it for your battle card banner slot.
Yeah,
for
whenever
6-star card. That's it.
when you're in the summons, let me go ahead and take this down real quick. When you're in the summons, you're in here and you're setting up your chances. You really don't want to be putting the Ein set in here. You want to put the Akane in here. You might want the Ryu set for the Immortal Victor. You might want to put the Chaos set's going to be a good choice, and Ryugo is going to be number 1 for PvP, pretty much for the most part. So those are really the best options to go for on your cards. Really, they are. The Ryu set's very situational kind of thing, specific to a certain game mode. Have you tested Ryu sets in a Spider Robot, Saint?
It's not very effective, I think.
Yeah.
Because the reason why it's not effective is not that you don't gain power. It's just that because they allow you to cycle 5, you would have gained enough power to do 3PG anyways. Yeah.
You're just going back and forth between your characters.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's someone. Okay, so El Ranto asked, in regards to my previous question, when I first saw Fast Vice and Lady Geese, I concluded that they're trying to give options against crowd control characters. Yes. What's one way to lessen the grip? Yeah, so I agree with you, El Ranto. That's really quite sharp of you to observe. So remember I mentioned Gonit's, right?
Yeah.
You could take away Gonit's power in the meta by having a person released with a core effect that stun character if you stun your opponent's character if you receive bleed damage. That would destroy Gonit's. Like that would destroy him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Arvin. You know what's up. You know what's up. We had a crash.
Yeah. Guys, I guess Fogo, do you want to spend another 5 minutes or what do you want?
We can spend another 20 minutes if you like, if you have the time, if you want.
Cool. We'll take a couple more questions. Yeah. So like I said, guys, if anything, if you have to rush off now, just feel free to join our Discord and catch up with us later. So our Discord links are in the YouTube description. Yeah.
So you tested the Rio set with Guinness and PvP. A mirror match is situational and very cheesy. But you managed to get the 3PG before your opponents, Guinness, and won the match. Cool.
Yeah. I might give you a sneak preview on the next time we have a discussion about option cards, guys. So the sneak preview is, if you're playing against optimized players, which means if you're in like top 40 very all time, then you gotta mix up your cooldown cards. A lot of people believe that you should always have 2 cooldown cards. This is not true at top 40. Because we mix things up, we confuse the opponents to use the wrong move, and therefore we win the round. And you realize that when you're playing against really good players, they don't spam their skills all the time.
No,
So
they never do. They're calculated, tactical.
exactly. So things like the Taken option card, extremely powerful when you're playing against good players. Yashiro stun reduction card. The Halloween Yashiro stun reduction card is extremely powerful on characters like Nameless, like Kula, like Rugal. Reason for that is basically it gives them immunity to stun. Right? So there are a lot of option cards that are actually very useful. The new Vice option is pretty useful, even for the non-Vice character. So if you think about it, right, there are really a lot of options out there to whatchamacallit, to play around with. Yeah.
Well, I think the new mature card's good. The Vice card, the stun reduction card from Yashiro.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
it's situational, but I mean, if you're going against a character that has lots of stuns, like Lady Big, that could come in handy. If you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness,
Follow,
yeah, buddy.
If there's no more questions, I guess we could end early, right?
Yeah, it's all good, man. Yeah. Not a set card question, but is it worth to max level a second special card? Yes.
Yes. Not the skill, right? Yeah, always max that to level 30 because increases your base stats. That's really important.
Yeah, you just to be clear, you just want to max out the level here, not the skill level.
Yeah.
The first card, the card that you're going to equip. Go ahead.
I think there's a good question here. Dr. Downvote, sorry. Saying, would you be interested in discussing changes to PvP mechanics? When you say that, are you talking now or are you talking like in the Discord, Dr. Downvote? So if you're talking about PvP mechanics, I've actually had a long discussion with God Revan, which is the moderator for the official Discord for Kofas. So if you want to know my impressions for the mechanics, you can just go have a chat with him about that. Yeah. I think one of the mechanics that should change is Awakening skill. Forgo, you want to hear this, man? I don't think I ever discussed this with you. But I told God Ravan that the Awakening skill should function like that. When you use it, it shoots, it pushes your opponent all the way to the other side of the screen. It's like a knockback to the other side of the screen, rather than a small knockback so that people can continue a combo. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something I think would be much more fair for the use of awakening skill to come back. Yeah. So I mean, I had this kind of mechanics discussion before. We've got Ravan, like a long one with him. So you can just ask him for the things that I shared. But otherwise, you can just drop by our Discords and just have a chat with us. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. I'm looking at this new boss we get to fight.
Yeah. Hey, Foggle,
Yeah.
there's someone asking for friendly matches. Sports
Yeah.
Channel 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not now, but just I think you should answer him.
Uh, well, I mean, we can. I mean, I don't care. Yeah. We can.
Yeah, if you want to play friendly matches with us, guys, just drop by our Discords, like I said, and ping us. And when you're in our Discords, you can also have friendly matches with a lot of people there.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm gonna be live streaming KOF tomorrow at around 1 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. And after championship, I'll be happy to do a bunch of friendly matches.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah, we play friendly matches all the time. Like in our Discords. Yeah, there's probably more friendly matches being played in my Discord since my Discord's more focused on PvP.
yeah. Is that no, when you level up a card, when you level up your cards, you want to level up the skill level and the level of the card. It's just let me show you. Whenever you go in, you want to level up all your set cards here, all these yellow cards. You want the 10. The cards that you develop, you want skill level 30 and skill level 10. The same with option cards. But for your special card, only the first card that you equip here, you want your skill level at 30, or I'm sorry, skill level at 10, and the level of the card at 30. But the second card, you just want the level of the card at 30. You don't have to increase the skill level because it will not increase any stats. Sports channel, I play friendly matches with everybody. Like
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I play with Saint.
He
I
does
play with
care
his
if you're
guild
very
members.
laggy though.
I play with yeah. I play with everybody in the chat. I mean, I always do that. It's all good.
Aronto, to answer your question, yeah, I believe Awakening should be changed in terms of the mechanic. It shouldn't push you up in the air to let you continue a combo. It should push you all the way to the other side of the screen and then go back into neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So it's fair to the person receiving the Awakening. Yeah.
Is that uh, I've already begun leveling up cards, so I don't know whether to tell you to wait or not. To be perfectly honest, buddy, we don't know what Netmar was going to do. We don't know. We have no clue. They sent out a post saying they were going to address it, but we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Talking
Hey,
about the
Sports Channel number 1. Please don't spam. We've already answered the question. You can just drop by our Discords and ask us for games. Yeah, and there will be a separate time and place for FMing or friendly matching over the live stream. Because I think when's your next live stream for that, Fogo?
for KOF.
Yeah, KOF friendly live stream, like friendly match live stream. You're gonna do that, like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
does
yeah,
that
yeah.
once in a while, guys.
Yeah, well, tomorrow we'll do, I'll probably do championship for, 2 hours or hour and 30 minutes and then do just friendly matches for the next hour and 30 minutes, whatever it is.
Yep.
Something like that, I do want to have like, like a stream where I just do friendly matches, like no championship. Uh, The imprint stones, that's another. I mean, I've made videos about those things. As far as where to get them, Immortal Mos, Immortal Victor, you can get them from the Elemental Flame here, I believe. Get some crappy ones. I believe you can get them from Spider Robot as well. Sports Channel, we we replied a bunch of times. Burial. I can tell you that I spent 9,000 AP to level up 3 set cards, just 3. One full set of the Rio. It took me 9,000 AP to get enough resources to do that. And it would have been more, but the only reason it wasn't is because when I leveled them up, I actually had skill enhance. I actually had 30 of these 5-star yellow cards. I would have had to use a lot more AP. I think it's like 60. Is it 16,000 AP? Is it
I'm not sure.
It's a ridiculous amount of AP that you need just to level up one full set, 3 cards. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Barrel. I used 9,000 AP yesterday, grinding and grinding, just to level up one Rio set. And like I said, I already had 30 of those 5-star skill level cards. Crazy. But
Yeah,
Sports
it's a new
Channel,
stupid system, guys. Frankly speaking, I think Netmarble is addressing it, so they already made an announcement. So I just hope that they revert it back to the old one plus having the new one together. So it's an enhancement rather than a replacement.
yeah, I just hope they keep what they got and they just bring back the use of old cards to level up new cards. They do that,
Yeah.
I think everybody will be happy.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's
That-
really a bit silly. Yeah, they're gonna release the new update with the collaboration and the anniversary event. So we're really hoping they rectify all of this.
Yeah, because it really is ridiculous. I mean, guys, look, I've been playing this game since the launch, and I've been able to acquire lots and lots of AP because of that. But that AP dwindles pretty damn quick when you gotta spend freaking thousands and thousands of AP just to level up those a small amount of cards. Just imagine if you're a newer player. Jesus.
Yeah, and you don't need to take note that the AP potions for the percentage one happens to be very useful only if you're a veteran player with a high amount of account rank.
Yeah,
'Cause your capacity.
yeah.
So that's
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
really big one, man. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I have 734. I can get 734 AP. With like the 100% potion here, whereas someone that's at a low rank, they might only get 200 AP, 230.
Yeah, the anniversary is end of October, is that right? Closer towards the end of October, because
I think so. Yeah.
Kofas was released towards the end of October last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. No, that sounds right. It was released right at because we had the Halloween event. So yeah, it was right around Halloween. Sarav, honestly, you could. I mean, look, you could probably just hang on to your cards and just wait if you want to play it safe.
Yeah, correct. I hope that they revert that back as well, because it's not just affecting FTP players, guys. It affects both the veteran FTPs or the veteran whales. It affects
Oh.
everybody. It's really the most. Frankly speaking, I'm just going to say straight up: the battle card system update, the recent one, is the worst update in the history of the game, in my opinion.
Yep, that's what I said, and that's what I said in the release of the update. Same thing. I felt like it's the worst update we ever had. And some people were. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like taking 10 steps backwards.
Yeah. By the way, David, he brings up the Epic Quest. That's something else about this new card system. now that people have been saving up all their AP, if they start leveling up their cards, they're going to use all that AP, and they're not going to build up their strategy bumps in Epic Quest. It's just an all-around bad thing, to be perfectly honest. Like, not good. Not to mention people that don't have clear tickets. Yeah, yeah, their devices are going to be getting hot because they're going to be running all day and night just to try to level up a card.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think.
Yeah. I think it's about that time, guys.
Yeah, we'll probably take your questions at the Discord. So if you want any follow-up questions, drop by our Discord. The link is in the description, the YouTube description on the left
Yeah,
of the
guys.
chat box.
Yeah, please join Saints Discord, my Discord. Both the links are in the description. And I just want to say thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for the donation earlier. Really appreciate it. And hopefully this helps you guys out, man. That's really the whole point of this.
Yep.
I mean, so, again, thank you all for being here. So, Saint, you want to?
Yeah, nothing much. So thanks for your time. Hopefully, this video is gonna be around post of this stream, so feel free to just inform people about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
let
change
them know.
the title of the video and put in there what we're talking about.
Yeah. So no problem. Just spread the word around because we really want the community to grow. The game won't grow if the community doesn't grow. And both of us are veteran players, and we're just trying to aid the newer players, and as well as some veteran players who today it was an interesting discussion, right? We covered both the inner mechanics of the game where even veteran players may not know, and we also covered like the newer mechanics or the easier mechanics of the game where newer players don't know. So there's really a bit of everything for everyone, and we're gonna have more discussions in the future. So yeah, just tune in and catch more in the future. Yeah. So meanwhile, thanks Foggle for hosting me again. I
Yeah,
hope
no
your channel
problem.
grows. Yeah.
All right. Well, to that, I say thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much to Saint for throwing out his experience and knowledge to help everybody out. And I hope you all enjoyed the live stream. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.